Yeah.
After trying to threaten the first officer.
How like a
Funny.
real doctor, take a week off, come back to the bodies all piled up.
Connie, Chris,
Hi.
we did do really well in your
We did.
absence,
Mhm.
but there were some.
Yeah, I
Instance.
can't help but notice the chat log is just filled with combat rolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there may or may not be a certain what is it, Andorian that's may or may not be dead.
Whoa,
Whatever.
deck 5 got hit. That's where sickbay is.
Uh-huh.
It's like, wow.
So
But that wasn't
Yeah.
our fault.
You guys blew up my office.
No, we didn't blow up your office. Matt blew up your office. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to start slinging the actual blame around here...
oh, also wasn't it our security officer also got badly hurt?
Yep.
Lieutenant Phlesc?
Not Phlesc,
Dear
that
me.
would be Garrow.
Oh.
Oh, Garo got hurt because of the security console blew up in his face.
Well, thankfully, all I've been doing this week is playing Baldur's Gate. I'm all about the dice rolls at the moment.
Well, that's all right then.
So yeah, you totally may or may not have
Stuff to
bunch of
do.
casualties.
Work.
It's in a very messed up sick bay.
The dice gods were absolutely horrible to me yesterday when one of my fellow players pretty much sort of actually killed my character.
Came very close to, so
It
you know.
did, yes.
Let's hope the dice gods are a bit more in your favour at this
Yes.
point. But
yeah.
before we carry on too much with that, can we just confirm that everybody who his forge is being slow, so everybody logged in, okay?
I am in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm in.
All
Yeah,
right.
totally did not hit a person for like 12 damage with my bat lift.
Chris, the other Chris, is currently unavailable, but will be hopefully joining us a little bit later. So fingers crossed. So we will get started as soon as we can. So what I'm going to do for the moment then is, can I confirm that peeps who want to be are logged in and can hear things on Sirenscape?
Yes.
Yarp.
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent. We have a lot of West Country folk here today. Yarp. I can indeed hear the sound effects, which, to my West Country listeners, I'm very, very sorry for that ridiculously stupid accent that I just tried. I don't know what it was. Hopefully it was close. Right, we will see you folks in just a sec after we play that lovely, lovely intro video, so we'll see you in a few seconds. Hello and welcome, folks, to the further adventures of the USS Holmes. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thanks as well to our intrepid crew for rejoining us this week.
The
best
best
crew.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Better than the Navis.
Seriously, those guys are going to end up stream sniping us if we continue this, so, well, who knows. So, yes, it's been a couple of weeks, and by a couple I mean a few. So, we're all eager to get back into this and find out what happens next. But yes, last time we didn't have Connie and Chris with us. This summary will benefit them as much as anybody else. So yes, we are currently on episode 4, That Which Is Unknown. This will be the third and hopefully the final part of this particular episode, where the crew of the Comas were invited along to assist with the test firing of a new, stronger type of quantum torpedo being developed by the Takarian government. And to say that it has gone pretty much not according to plan would be a vast and terrible understatement. So we've had to deal with the lead scientist, Dr. Jabren, not being all that forthcoming on everything to do with the prototype torpedo. The torpedo itself was unstable enough that it couldn't be transported and therefore has so far had to be manually shipped about, which has caused a small amount of consternation. But when the test firing actually took place, a trio of Klingon birds of prey appeared, and one of them absconded with the torpedo, whilst the other two kept the Combs busy. So that was the majority of last episode, was the Combs crew taking on a pair of Klingon birds of prey, which, of course, you did eventually triumph, not without some damage to the ship, however. So just to summarize the damage that the ship has so far received, you're down to just about over half power. You do have a blown shield emitter, so your shields have got a maximum of 9 rather than 10. There has been some structural damage to Deck 5, which, as has been pointed out, was actually the same deck that houses sickbay. So, what else is on Deck 5? Sickbay, primary sickbay support systems, to Chief Medical Officer's office, so yes, maybe Dr. Sott's office has been wrecked a bit. The council, the crew quarters, some people have been thrown out of their beds. The library! Oh, say it ain't so! The graphic novel section may have been taken out, I'm sorry. Holodecks. The holodecks might have taken a hit, as have sensor gear and escape pod access. So,
at least we don't have to deal with the bad mouth EMH hologram.
Well, yes, quite. Also, as something that's worth bringing to note, weapons have been temporarily disabled. Nothing too bad, but they will need a bit of work to bring back online, so plenty to do. And yes, in the course of the battle with the 2 Klingon ships, which were identified as belonging to House Duras, the Romulan collaborators, it was discovered that, or it's been supposed that the technology for the quantum torpedo resembled a little too closely the little that the Federation knows about Romulan micro-singularity technology. And as has already quite rightly been pointed out, and just to bring in a reminder, Dr. Jabren, the Takarian scientist, did note that the technology for the power source for the torpedo was given to him by his government's military. Dr. Jabren himself attempted to escape by knocking out one of the security team, Ensign Akos, if I recall, but he did so with a sedative rather than using actual physical violence, and then proceeded to hightail it through the ship. Dr. Jabren was apprehended whilst trying to escape into the Jeffries tubes, but unfortunately, because he managed to steal a phaser off of one of the security team trying to apprehend him, Commander Hopkins was left with little to no recourse but to try and render Dr. Jabren unconscious, but in doing so, by use of Batleth, which, let's face it, isn't the usual thing you use for bringing people down without serious injury, or indeed death. The knockout blow was delivered, but upon examination, Dr. Jabren appears to be unresponsive and maybe even dead. So the one with the knowledge potentially as to what might actually be going on around here has now been maybe accidentally killed by the first officer in the attempt to get him back.
He had
One-
a
Go on.
phaser. I had no choice.
Well, exactly. He didn't leave you much choice but to respond with, having to protect yourself and the other members of the group. So we're not judging, I hope, too much the fact that a response was necessary, but
I want to see what our Vulcan captain thinks.
well, we'll get to that. But for the moment, the only other thing I think that we have to recall, some small damage was done to the tactical console. I'm struggling to remember the other thing. Oh yes, when the battle with the Klingons was done, the Takarians appeared with about 6 small Takarian security vessels, demanded to know what's going on, and even though they managed to accede to the recommendation of the Combs that they at least allowed 2 members of the disabled Klingon ship that remained to the Combs now has in their possession a pair of officers from the one remaining Klingon ship that they were able to disable, whereas the ship itself and the remaining Klingon crew have been apprehended by the Takarians. In the meantime, the Takarians have taken off in pursuit of the one remaining bird of prey, which, before it cloaked, was last seen on a heading that would take it towards Romulan space, which isn't all that far away from Takarian space. So the Combs, of course, is also heading in that direction. The Combs is the faster ship, and therefore is starting to gain a lead on the Takarians, but we don't know where exactly the Klingon ship is. We don't know whether or not Dr. Jabren is actually dead. We don't know what the Takarian security forces' main motivation is in their hot pursuit. And Elizabeth is still petitioning very, very strongly that we should get a Klingon ship instead of as well as the Intrepid class. So we now seem to be going up the scale from teeny tiny little assault craft all the way up now to the Naval battle cruiser. So if you perform well and bring honor to your house, I am sure we can arrange something. But that. Ladies and gentlemen,
Speaking of the Klingon bird of prey,
yeah.
did they leave any body, or did they take it back to their system, or did they just leave it there?
The Takarians, they towed the disabled Klingon bird of prey away.
Oh man! If they would have just left it there and would have came back for it, I would have scuttled it.
I see. Mine or nobody's.
He doesn't like the idea that they're getting Klingon technology.
Wasn't just quick.
Yes, of course.
Thing for the recap. The Takarians had taken the ship, but we had taken the officers, hadn't we?
Yes.
Into custody.
Yes, you had.
And they had taken the rest of the crew.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I think we got the captain and the first officer.
You got somebody, certainly.
Now, that's what we were trying to get, is at least the 2 higher ranks.
Yeah. So, with that said and done, any more questions, concerns, comments, or further bits of information that I may have forgotten to bring up or need to clarify? All right. So, let's switch things back to the ship itself. But let's take us actually on a little romp down to sickbay. So we join our crew, or we join parts of our crew down in sickbay. And I am just going to bring the 2 commanding officers in as well. Doop. Can everybody see sickbay?
Yep.
Because not
Yes.
everybody has got a token on it. Okay, cool. So, Dr. Sott is currently looking over the biobed, which at the moment has the body of Dr. Jabren on it. One of the other biobeds has Ensign Akos, the Edenian, who was sedated. Lieutenant Garrow is just sitting at the edge of one of the other biobeds with having had his wounds seen to. So he's okay, but he's very interested, obviously, in what's going on with Dr. Jabren. So, what would you like to do?
I guess I'd like to use my medical monitoring device to just give this fella a scan.
Okie dokie. So, what we've got here is... Let me see. Okay. I will ask... Let's see... Connie, could you be the ship for me, please? Because the ship is going to assist with this.
Yeah.
The ship is more than likely going to be using sensors and medicine.
Swords and medicine.
So this represents the medical scanners on board the ship, trying to assist. And for Dr. Sott, this is going to be insight and medicine, please, with... Let me see... You can use your emergency medicine focus for this.
Sure.
So that's Willow.
Good start.
Very good start.
Can I reroll?
The nap is...
Can I use determination?
You can use determination to reroll. Yes, you can.
Just a single dice, yeah?
Yes, just reroll the twin. Just when it says reroll results, just choose one dice. Yes. Using your compassion value.
Mm-hmm.
Should you wish to. Connie, you can roll the single dice for the ship as well, please.
Oh, much better.
The ship
So-
did nothing.
The ship didn't register any successes. You should have only re-rolled the 20, so we'll take the 1. I'll be nice. So that gives you 1, 2, 3 successes with nothing else from the ship. So whilst this examination is going on, Captain Sobek turns to Commander Hopkins and going, "Are you positive you used the blunt end when you struck him?"
Yes.
Then this is indeed most curious. I know categorically
What
how
about-
hard you've been able to hit from watching the reruns of your training sessions in the fighting pits on board Narendra Station. However, I was not aware that Takarians had, as humans call, a glass jaw.
I used the blunt end, but you know, bat lifts aren't that blunt.
Indeed. Dr. Sott. Let me see, what does Dr. Sott learn? Well, as soon as he gains a scan of Jabren's physiology, what he sees is actually rather medically startling and very, very medically interesting. Dr. Sott's biology is extraordinarily unusual. Rather than having lungs, brain, heart, liver, kidneys, stuff like that, what Dr. Sott discovers is the vast majority of Dr. Jabren's physiology or its biological processes have been spread out throughout the entire body. Meaning that the Takarian physiology appears to have a lot of redundancies in it. As such, it's making it unusually difficult to make head or tail of why Jabren is currently not conscious and maybe even dead. What is curious, though, is the fact that there are so many redundancies in the Takarian physiology that you're not sure why a single focused heavy head blow would have rendered Jabren, well, comatose or dead. because even brain functions are kind of scattered. Biologically speaking, it's fascinating because it means that Takarians have got like fail-safes in case of damage too. There's no one place you can go to damage a specific organ, so...
Could he be playing possum?
It's a possibility. You would need to do a bit more investigation to be sure.
I think so.
So what we're going to do is... Captain Sobek is going to turn to Dr. Sott and say, continue your investigations, Doctor. Needless to say, we need this man to give us much-needed answers as soon as possible. Meanwhile, if Lieutenant Garrow, who now has his stress track back, if Lieutenant Garrow is well enough to be discharged, we have investigations and repairs of our own to undertake.
So, is Dr. Jabren alive?
Interminate at the moment would be the response from the doctor.
Could always try giving him a stimulant.
Could do, but because his system is so scattered, it's unclear which adrenal gland you could stimulate in order to bring him about. Because it's like...
Sobek...
Go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Can Captain Sobek mind meld with a unsure if alive creature?
That was a question that was asked at the end towards the end of last session. So it's always worth a try if you think Captain Sobek would give it a go. You have that option available to you, and as I have noted on numerous occasions, just because Captain Sobek is a non-player character doesn't mean that he's not your character to dictate what he might and might not do. So if you think he should have a go, then we can try that.
I think so, because we can maybe extract information out of Jabren that we may not get honestly. I don't know what the crew think. Not through torture. I mean, we've already nearly killed the man, so something less invasive.
I was thinking of something else. The Klingon ship, and I was just thinking about this during our break. Would we have asked if we can also make a copy of the records from the Klingon ship?
I believe the problem with doing anything with the Klingon ship that was left behind was time. It would have been
we still had to technically repair a ship a little bit anyways.
Yeah, the idea was that if you wanted to do anything with the disabled Klingon ship, it would have taken time that would have been not used pursuing the one that got away. So in the end, I believe the decision was made, albeit begrudgingly, to hightail it after the ones that got away, at the risk of losing them.
All right, well, there goes Plan B. I guess Hopkins, it's time to interrogate the two officers we got from the Klingon ship.
You can do that too, yes, absolutely. So, what would you like to do first? Mind meld? Interrogation? What?
Ooh. Mind meld. Seems we're in the med bay.
Yeah.
Seems
And I
we're
mean,
there.
Commander Hopkins can start walking to the brig during this time.
Okay, cool. Let's think then. So Connie has already been the ship. Connie's not going to. Well, let's see. Dave. No, actually, Mark. It was Mark's idea. Let's give Mark the privilege of using Captain Sobek. That way, we know who to blame if it goes wrong. Who wears the hat of blame is a very important thing in these games. So,
I vote for Lily Tavish to be the next captain.
the chief engineer with a history of, shall we say, interesting modes of thinking be the cat. Well, this is a crew full of interesting people, so who knows. But I think you'll find there's a certain half Klingon first officer who's very much next in line.
I was about to say,
I didn't hear our Klingon officer say Bagsy, and I'm just letting you know.
Hey, I mean, there's a few dozen ranks you still have to climb first.
Indeed. The ancient art of dibs was indeed not called, however.
I've just called it.
Dibs was
The ancient
implied when she was assigned as first officer, I think you'll find, so here we are. Implied but not outright stated. This is possibly a discussion for another time.
Okay,
Before we
sorry.
get lost in this tangent.
I've not beansed up the roll just yet.
No, you haven't. So let's see. This is going to be using his telepathy, his Vulcan mind meld. So, physical contact. Let's see what the talent says. This will always require a task with a difficulty of at least 1, which can be opposed by an unwilling participant. If successful, you link minds, sharing thoughts and memories. Momentum can be spent to gain more information or perform deeper telepathic exchanges. The link goes both ways, is a tiring and potentially hazardous process. Complications can result in, well, whatever I fancy inflicting. So, let's see. This is going to be... It's not going to be a contested physical action. As such, Captain Sobek can just walk up and place his fingers along the side, the usual points of Dr. Jabren's head. But this will be interesting insofar as he's never done this on a Takarian before. So let's go with Mark. If you could give me presence and command. Actually, no. Presence and medicine. Because this is all to do with, this is much to do with biology as anything else. What does he have? He does have veteran, so he can draw on determination. Supervisor gives him gives the ship extra crew support. Teacher, when you create an advantage for an ally, so nothing much that goes in with the other talents that can aid in this. And he doesn't have focuses on Vulcan mind meld, so...
But he does have focuses on persuasion.
He does, but he has to make the link first, so that's
Okay.
what we're going to try.
Okay.
So brace yourselves, folks. Let's see how we do this.
Rolling 2, not using any focuses. There's nothing I can spend the determination on. Just rolling 2 dice.
Go for it.
Oh no.
And clench. Well, the good news is you got a 1.
Ooh!
Which is an automatic 2 successes. Alright. Captain Sobek puts his fingers in the usual places for a Vulcan mind meld, so temple just between the eye and the nose, and then the rest kind of align themselves as is, the thumb next to the bottom part of the jaw. And those who are watching notice that he puts his fingers in the required places, closes his eyes, and does the usual chant, you know, my mind to your mind, my thoughts to your... And he pauses, opens one eye, and then moves his fingers about. And then he keeps moving his fingers about like he's trying to find spots on Jabren's face to actually initiate the mind meld with. And Dr. Sott, from his vantage point, actually sees the muscles in Captain Sobek's jaw flex a couple of times, which, if you've been around Vulcans, is usually the only sign they give of frustration. And eventually, Captain Sobek just straightens up. I appear to be unable to initiate a mind meld. His unique physiology, I can only assume, is the cause. The usual nerve points that my people are able to use to access somebody's memories are not present on a Takarian. This is unusual.
Well, at least he didn't die.
I am, however, detecting the briefest traces of a thinking mind, which suggests, as has been noted, that he is not in fact dead. You at least have a living patient with which to conduct your investigation, it seems, Doctor.
Lovely.
guys obviously don't have to see the names all the time. Commander Hopkins forgetting that that's the door to the... Actually, it just likes to hear the whoosh, the whoosh of the door. Door opens, door closes. Door opens, door closes. Anyway.
I figured out a way that Hopkins and Lizzie could battle over the job of the captain. We have a drinking contest over Klingon blood wine.
Ah, yes. A tipsy Vulcan. That's always something you want to see.
I'm talking about Olivia Tavish and Hopkins.
I will return to the bridge. Commander Hopkins, Lieutenant Garrow, feel free to interrogate our Klingon prisoners. In the meantime, I return to the bridge to coordinate our repair efforts and see if we can find a way of tracking down the wayward Klingons. Dr. Sott, feel free to continue your efforts.
Hopefully we can figure out where exactly the ship's going with our very uninvited guests.
So, I'm going to take us back to Deck 1. Take us away from the sickbay ambience and put us back to bridge ambience because we got everybody here. Somebody had every character selected.
My bad. Sorry.
I noticed how everybody took a step to the left. Okay, so Hopkins will evidently, as well as Garrow, will not actually be on the bridge. They will be going down to the brig area in order to interrogate the Klingons. So I am going to ask... Who hasn't rolled yet? Dave. Let's get you be Lieutenant Garrow for the moment, and I'm going to require an interrogation from Hopkins as well. So if Trasa's not too busy inspecting Deck 1, I would like a presence and command check with assistance from Lieutenant Garrow. Garrow does not have any focuses that can aid in an interrogation. Let's see what Strong Pa does. Coerced or threatened. Chief of Security. No, combat medic. Okay, so it's just going to be, if you can do that for me, Dave, is going to be also presence and command from Garrow assisting. 1 dice. We got 2 successes there. Cool. Phlesc is
and I even used my interrogation on focus.
Cool. Okay, so Garrow stands there in the background just looking mean, but considering you're dealing with a Klingon captain and first officer, the mean look alone doesn't quite cut it. However, using her knowledge of, being half Klingon, using her knowledge of how to get at Klingons, Commander Hopkins is a little bit more successful in her efforts to glean some information. You don't get much, though, which was slightly maddening, but what you do learn is that the Klingon captain and 2 others, aligned with House Duras, did receive marching orders from one of their superiors in the house to proceed to Takarian space under cloak. They knew exactly where the test fire was taking place. They did also receive a transmission which laid out the shield and power systems of the combs, so they had a very good idea of where to hit the combs to do damage to shields and power. And their orders were then to basically abscond with the torpedo and proceed to Romulan space with it. That's all the Klingon captain and first officer give you, but that should in and of itself be enough. Meanwhile, now actually before I move on, was there anything else that you wanted to get out of that interrogation?
She would see if they knew exactly who sent the transmission that gave them the idea or the plans to the comms, basically?
They do not, but it was transmitted from the combs itself. And the Klingon captain has a very big sly grin on his face when he notes this. Meanwhile, let's go with the ship does need repairs, so this is more than likely going to be a Lieutenant Tavish job, because the Combs has taken a good bit of a whacking. So
I can definitely assist with that because
Yes, you
I've
can.
got repair team leader, but also the parent figure in case we beans it up. But the repair team leader, if we are successful in damage control and repair, we can. Oh, doesn't actually. I don't think we've got a breach, have we?
you do have a breach. You have got structural breach. So you took one breach to the ship's superstructure, which was why there was structural damage to Deck 5. Now, the breach itself can only be repaired at a starbase or a space dot. So the breach will remain. Unless...
If we succeed at a damage control task because of repair team leader, we can spend 3 momentum to repair 1 breach.
Ooh, there you go.
So I will definitely help out Tavish. Because I could pull that one out if we're successful.
Very good. So the kind of damage control we're going to need, so it suggests a damage control task, so let me just...
I was looking at my talents, and I still can't use I know my ship to determine the source of a technical problem of your ship, and we already know what the technical problems are. So,
oh yeah, just checking my character. Were we meant to put some stuff back between sessions? Because I'm armed to the teeth.
yes, good
you
point.
are.
You shouldn't need to have body armor and a Type 3 phaser anymore. So feel free to have a look at your character's belongings and take out what you don't think should be there. I mean, Tavish looks like she's got her regular stuff. Garrow is still armed to the teeth as well, so let's take Garrow's body armor away at the very least, and also the wrist torch beacon thing. Unless, of course, Neshlel is hanging on to hers. Nope. She didn't need it, that was right, I remember now. Neshlel didn't take body armor and the Type 3 phaser. She... All I need is this right fist and this left fist.
I didn't have a Type 3 phaser by the end of that session.
No, you didn't, did
Oh
you?
yeah, no. Somebody's Type 3 phaser ended up as a grenade.
Whoever could that have been?
It was a cannon before.
Yes. Ugh.
So,
Anyway,
can I please get, if we're having Phlesc and Tavish cooperate, then this is going to be essentially, it's usually daring and engineering to put stuff back together, so there's a certain amount of risk involved in patching things, especially if you're going to be patching a hull breach.
I haven't got any focuses. I haven't got any focuses for this.
No, you don't. So,
Manufacturing or metallurgy? Because it is a... Or what field dynamics I've got as well.
I was going to say, what do you... Is it one person assisting the other?
I can assist you.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're better at repairing than what Tavish is.
Okay, that doesn't make sense, but yeah. Okay, if you want to assist me, I will definitely be...
I'll assist you.
Cool. Because then we can, if we're successful in the repair, we can spend 3 momentum and just fix the breach in one go. I mean, it puts us down to 2, but I'm hoping we can have a good run like we did last session.
Okay.
And replenish those.
Alright, we'll do that.
So, structural damage was what was suffered, but only 1 breach, so it could have been a lot worse. It wasn't grade 2.5 then, so this is just going to be, let's say, difficulty 2 to repair. So between the two of you, you should do this.
Daring and engineering?
Engineering, if you please. 2 from Phlesc, 1 from Tavish.
And I'm using... So the talent's there ready to be used. I don't think I've got any values, but I will use the focus, because we've got metallurgy and also warp field dynamics. So cool. Rolling dice.
Hopkins would like to look to see from where the Holmes info was sent from and possible who sent it. Aha, yes. We will look at that in a moment. Cool. 2 from you, and any left over? 1. So you get 1 over what you needed, so your momentum pool is back up to maximum. And I do believe the repairing of the structural breach required the expenditure of 3 momentum.
Well, net 2, because we got 1 back. But yes, if everyone's happy with that, we don't have to wait.
Yeah,
Let's just spend it. Let's go.
Nice.
Repair the breach. Boom.
So
That
the structural
is
damage...
incredibly useful talent.
Yeah, especially for a smaller ship. Very, very useful. So the structural damage to Deck 5 has been thoroughly repaired, so that's good. Nicely done indeed. Very good. Weapons being disabled can be easily brought back online by our tactical officer. So can I get Connie, please, to be Lieutenant Garrow?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to want a control and security check from him with his focus of shipboard tactical systems. This will only be a difficulty 1 task. He's basically rewiring the console that blew up in his face in order to get it working again. 16, 11, 1 success, exactly what you needed, so that's also that damage repaired. So the blown shield emitter will remain in place until you get that seen to at a starbase or a shipyard, because that was as a result of a complication, and therefore is something that will be able to get taken away this turn. So, that was you guys. Now, before I get to Hopkins and Dr. Sott's investigation, when Captain Sobek returns to the bridge and all the various shenanigans are going on, Captain Sobek will ask Lieutenant Gurkow to start finding a way of tracking down where that ship went. Where the Klingon ship went.
Did we have a track on? Not a track on it, but we had an idea of where it was going.
You had, based on its heading when it cloaked, it looked like it was heading out in the direction that would take it towards Romulan space.
Yeah,
Were we following the ion particles that it left behind?
You were trying to follow something, yes. But getting an exact look at it. Sorry, I talked over you there.
Yeah, I think it was the particles that the ship left behind.
And certainly give it a good old look. Mm-hmm. Dave? You gonna say something?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. So this will be Lieutenant Gurkow and assisted by the ship. So we can probably have Chris, if you could be the ship for us.
Certainly.
This will more than likely be
we can always beat it out of the
sensors.
Klingons.
Sensors and science, I think, from the ship. Lieutenant Gurkow, in the meantime, Connie, if you could give me a... Ooh, let me think.
It was sensors and what, sorry?
Sensors and science.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask for a control and security check from Lieutenant Gurkow, please.
I do have the reading where I may spend 1 momentum to use science.
Aha! I like. If everyone's okay with Connie using one momentum,
Yes, okay.
Yeah, go for it.
And I count as having an applicable focus.
ha ha! Even better. Nice.
1 or 2 die for me, sorry, is the ship.
1 die is the ship. Unless
Cool.
otherwise directed, the ship is always just assisting. And the
Thank you.
ship is assisting. Plus, you've got
Boom.
advanced sensor suites, so I forgot to note that brings the difficulty down. So, yes, it's all on Lieutenant Gurkau now to see how she can tie in what's been looked for so far. That's good. 2 successes, 3 successes. You got pretty much 3 over what you needed because of the advanced sensor suites of the comb. So you're back up to full momentum again. Nicely done.
Nice.
All right. Replaying the sensor readings taken from the battle with the Klingons, Lieutenant Gurkau manages to play back some of it with a focus on the one that got away. And she notices that there were some wild energy fluctuations on the Klingon vessel that beamed the quantum torpedo prototype aboard, which of course were then mostly anything else, any other sensor readings from that ship were mostly lost as it went into cloak. But nevertheless, something odd seemed to happen inside of the Klingon ship's power systems. So I am now going. This is going to be entirely Lieutenant Gurkau's role to do. This is going to be her smarts now. Reason and science. And I will let you use your statistical probability focus. Difficulty 2.
Okay. There's also something else I can use. I don't know if I want to bank it. If this is the last episode, then maybe
It's
I
the
should
last,
invest in
potentially the
something
last
else.
session of the episode. So yeah.
So this is. I'm looking at the Star-Crossed Medal.
Mhm.
But since the difficulty is only 2, I'm not sure. Something.
So once
No,
permission,
but I
before
can double.
attempting a task, you can choose to double your focus range. So it would essentially mean that rolling an 8 or under on a dice would be an extra success if you used your star
Maybe I'll leave
cross.
it for now.
Leave it
I
for
mean,
now.
Because
If
we
you
have
wanted-
full momentum, I think.
Yeah, we got full momentum, so if you wanted to just take a dice
Oh.
from that.
Yeah. So what was it? Sorry.
Insight and reason and science.
Reason and science with a focus of statistical probability.
You can buy an extra dice with 1 momentum. You can buy an extra 2 dice with 3 momentum.
No, just take the 1.
Just take the 1 dice. Yeah, should I do that? Should I spend momentum for that?
Okay, feel free to knock the momentum pool down by 1.
So it's rolling 3 dice.
Rolling 3 dice.
Okay.
All
So-
successes. So you definitely get it back. Nice. Nice. Knowing what you know of the torpedo, and the fact that you were warned by Dr. Jabren not to use a transporter to beam the torpedo aboard, it was hypothesized early on that the likely cause of that was due to its experimental nature, trying to alter the torpedo's quantum state might be a bad idea. But pile on top of that, you've got a Klingon ship that not only beamed the torpedo aboard, but then cloaked. And of course, a cloaking device is a very specialized type of piece of equipment that, bends light and such, and blocks sensors.
It's possible Jabren was lying.
It's possible, but with the power couple that with the power fluctuation that National noticed just before the Klingon ship cloaked, It's entirely probable that the Klingon ship's cloaking system reacted with the prototype torpedo's power source. And if your hypothesis is correct, then there's a very strong likelihood that the Klingon ship might be leaking a type of radiation that you could track.
Ooh.
So, that will be something for you to do. Now, if I can find that, I can bring it to deck 1. Oop. Now, there's going to be a very large Starfleet insignia that's going to appear on the bridge. That is not something that's actually there. This represents what's called an extended task. Hopefully you should have access to it.
Finally.
Yes, I told you it was on its way. So when just one task roll isn't enough to solve a problem, you have an extended task, which is basically a task or tasks that you can undertake over a stretch of time, where you need to... How best to explain this simply? The work track that you see are almost like the problem's hit points, if you will, that you need to overcome in order to gain success at it, but they also represent the passage of time that takes place that you have to work within. So what you're aiming to get are a number of breakthroughs on the roll to equal to the problem's magnitude, which in this case is 4. If you get 4 breakthroughs, which you would get a breakthrough by exceeding the difficulty. If you get a number of breakthroughs equal to the magnitude, then you have solved the problem. Now, in this case, the work track of 12 represents the time it will take to create and try and track the passage of the torpedo. However, you are on a kind of a race against time, so every one of these points of work track will also represent 10 minutes or so worth of work. So if it takes longer than that time, then... So what were you going to say, Mark?
I can't access the
You can't see
I
it?
can't access it. Nope.
Alrighty.
I can see the thing, I just can't click on it. And
That's fine. Configure ownership. It's because none of you can see it, so let me give you...
I'm about to say, yeah, sorry, I couldn't. I
Oh.
just got a phone call. But you're sorting it.
I got it, so hopefully you can now double click on it and it should open a little window.
yes.
Oh, I'll give it a go.
Alright. So what I'm hearing is figure out where they were supposed to head on to Romulan by beating up a few Klingon officers. Got it.
You've already done that! You want to do it again? You had so much fun, you want to do it again. Okay.
Well, they just said they're going to Romulan space, but specifically where now? Like, where were they supposed to rendezvous?
They had coordinates. That was all they knew. But tracking the torpedo, this will be the thing that will be needed to be done, the work that will need to be done in order to effectively track the torpedo's course. So that's what we are going to look at doing. But first, this is in order to try and locate and track the wavelength of the radiation trail that the bird of prey will be leaving. But first we're going to go back to Dr. Sott in sickbay. So let me swing. Let me take Hopkins and Garrow and Captain Sobek away. Hopefully you can all still see sickbay. Cool. So Dr. Sott is still investigating what's going on with Dr. Jabren. So let's see. First, I'm going to ask Dr. Sott to give me an insight and medicine task, difficulty 2.
Sure thing.
Emergency medicine will apply.
Cool.
No successes. Okay. So,
Oh dear.
because the Takarians are a bit of an elusive race, there's Dr. Sott spends some time looking through Starfleet medical records to see if there's any other precedent of anyone treating Takarians at any point in time. The closest Dr. Sott gets is mention of a Takarian scientist that helped with some sort of solar experiment on the Enterprise D some time ago, but nothing much more than that. So it's up to Dr. Sott himself to try and see if he can bring this guy around with just his wits and his talent.
You say that. Can I summon the EMH?
Okie dokie. Can I find? You can indeed summon the EMH. So yes, with a hum and a zwip, please state the nature of the medical emergency. Oh, it's
Hello.
you.
So it's my understanding that you pretty much have the entire records of any sort of all of Star Trek medical history just hanging out in your head there. Are there any examples of being able to sort of examine or even bring someone around like this when someone has just when their entire like internal structure is so decentralized? Are there any prior examples of being able to like resuscitate someone like that? Like, what should I be doing?
Okie dokie. In that case, this speaks very much to a collaboration between the two doctors here. So if I can have... Who hasn't rolled in a bit? Liz, can I get you to be the EMH, please?
Of course, pick the Klingon player to pull the.
You're allowed to use the supporting characters too. It's fine.
No, I just like the first person you think of. It's like
I
Klingon.
try and make sure everybody has at least some exposure to rolling dice, even if it's not their character. Let's see. This is definitely going to be led by Dr. Sott. So the EMH can assist with insight and medicine. Internal medicine as a focus for the EMH. As for Dr. Sott, once again, emergency medicine.
Yep.
Can assist with this. This is the two of them working the problem over together for the first time in quite a while. Well, hello there, Mr. Lincoln. 4 successes, my god. So, as much as Dr. Sott is there going, right, you're the EMH, you have the entire Starfleet medical database at your disposal. You've got to know something about this, right? And so the EMH just starts spewing datum gathered from various different points. So, like, Dr. Sott is there just going, okay, no, not that one. No, not that one. Wait, go back to that bit again? Some little bits and snippets of information pop up that Sott suddenly has a snapping your fingers with a sudden flash of insight moment. And, yeah. The obvious difficulty here is that you've got someone with a very decentralized nervous system, a very decentralized internal structure going on, so you can't treat this in the way you would treat a regular humanoid who has a very definite, the nervous system starts here and goes outwards that way. The heart is usually in one place, even if it's not in the same place, it's usually an organ, blah 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 blah. So treating somebody like this with that moment, you realize the decentralized nature, it's still the same thing, it's just in smaller bits spread out across the entire body, or the internal spaces. And so from that, and analyzing the condition of Dr. Jibren, Dr. Sott is forced to conclude that Dr. Jibren is definitely not dead. The traces, the tiny, tiny traces of neurological activity found in the various nerve clusters found around Jibren's physiology suggests that this is something else that Takarians evidently have learned to do. It reminds Dr. Sott a lot of about Vulcan meditation techniques, where they're able to put themselves into a trance and slow their body functions down. Now, in a regular humanoid, that would be fairly identifiable because their heart rate would slow and their brain waves would change to be, I think it's like alpha or beta waves or something like that. There'd be a definite pattern to it. With someone with a decentralized nervous and internal nervous system and structure, it would be the same, just a little bit different and in smaller bits spread about the place. And as such, long story made just as long as it would have been even if it wasn't me that was telling the story. Dr. Sott realizes that Dr. Jabren has put himself into some kind of stasis. Some kind of self-inflicted stasis. Akin to meditation. So he's basically, as was suggested, playing possum. He's playing dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, make of that knowledge what you will. But that was Yeah, go on.
Can he use the replicator to make, like, smelling salts? Because he can't inject an adrenal gland or anything, so he can't use an injection. But can he just waft something under his nose to get a reaction?
Well, with the 4 successes that Dr. Sott got, it would now be a case of, well, turns out I can use a stimulant. I would just have to use it in smaller doses, but also in a great more places. So rather than just one. So if you imagine an adrenal gland, if you want to stimulate an adrenal gland, you're going to need so many cc's of adrenaline. You need to measure it out according to the size of the gland and the dispersal that it's going to get throughout the body. With a Takarian, it's the same kind of thing, but you more than likely will have to inject. You would have to tailor the dosage to accommodate for the fact that you're also going to have to inject that stimulant into numerous places. Or have Hopkins slap him. Or there's concussive therapy too, you know. Smack.
What I was going to suggest then is, if it requires multiple different emissions, what if myself, the EMH, and the nurse over there we all just start, applying the stimulants where we need to.
It's gonna be like acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, essentially. All right. That's something that is.
It'll be great. We'll stand them up. We'll make them like a dartboard. And we'll lob them across the. No, but
Oh, it's a shame the three-handed NCP's unconscious.
Non-character player. Interesting. Yes. So we will leave our intrepid sickbay crew for just a moment, as we bring ourselves back to the bridge. So, Hopkins was going to try and see from which security console, or which console anywhere on board the ship was being transmitted, so I would like a... Can I have an insight and security check from Hopkins, please? Difficulty 2. Before I move on to you guys trying to track down the emissions of the Klingon ship.
Let's see. Do I have any focuses that would work?
Sadly, no. But yep.
Is there supposed to be a passive?
Yes. If you'd have been paying attention, you would have heard me say. This is the representation of the extended task required to formulate a means to locate and track the radiation source that the Klingon ship would have left behind it. So Hopkins, with that check, obviously she's not a computer hacking expert, but evidence does suggest that a transmission was sent from the science department at some point that seems to match the time frame that the Klingon officers were talking about, as far as the interrogation of them suggested the time frame of when they received the schematics for the power and shield systems of the combs. And that was... I'm going to give you this for free. That was the same kind of time that Dr. Jabren was working down in science, along with other folks. So, while you process that, let's see. I mean, to me, Lieutenant Gurkow is going to be obviously involved in tracking the torpedo, but it's whoever else that's now available, which is mostly Tavish and Phlesc at this point, the two engineers.
I want to use Nick in time, because if we succeed, we get an additional effect or work towards the effort, so...
So
yeah.
Phlesc is definitely going to be necessary for this, as is Gurkow. Tavish, of course, being the chief engineer, can also get in on it.
Yeah, I'll get in now.
So, let me see. Tavish's foci... Power systems, I suppose, will apply, as will warp engines, because the hypothesis... the hypothesis is that you're tracking something to do with the ship's energy emissions, so that would make sense to me that Tavish could use the power systems focus, because that's the main thrust of what you're doing. Phlesc...
Warp field dynamics?
Yeah, potentially.
Cool.
And then as for... Go on, sorry?
Oh, sorry. In order to use the talent, can I just assist, or do I need to lead it?
Nick of time whenever you succeed, so it doesn't say that you're assisting or if you're whatever, as long as a success is earned.
Excellent. Cool.
But this is going to be Lieutenant Gurkow's baby, because she's the chief science officer and the one in charge of sensors, and was the one who who managed to formulate the idea. So if the two can assist, and Gurkow go with... What are we doing? Well, actually, as far as what you're rolling, you can basically justify it to me, because it's your decision how you think you would go about trying to solve this little problem. I mean, science suggests itself as the discipline.
Yeah. I think insight for the attribute.
Yeah, so, yeah, that makes sense for Gurkow. Because you used statistical probability to get onto it in the first place, you could probably continue using that focus pretty nicely.
Ooh.
Do you want to take a momentum as we've got a full pool?
Go on then.
That
Go
will
on.
represent the maximum number of dice. So 3 dice from Gurkow, 1 dice to assist from Tavish, and 1 dice to assist from Phlesc is the maximum of 5 dice that you're allowed to any one task. So feel free to go ahead, but that's the most you can do.
Just a quick question: what will I be using to roll?
Well, that's up to you. What do you think Tavish would use? How do you think Tavish would assist with this kind of endeavor? You're trying to modify the main sensor systems to track a radiation wave.
I would say daring and engineering.
Okay, because you're physically changing the sensors.
If so, because we're doing modifications, I have a talent which will come in real good handy, and it's this is an extended task, is it?
It is.
I've got Miracle Worker.
Haha.
You have a reputation of doing the impossible repairs or modifications well in advance of expectations, getting offline systems up and running when most needed, and so on. Whenever you use engineering on an extended task, if you achieve a breakthrough and roll at least 1 effect on the challenge die, you effect a second breakthrough.
Yes, very useful, very good.
Nice.
Combine that with Phlesk's nick of time, and you're looking very good for for going up against an extended task. So yeah, cool. So Tavish is going to be physically modifying the sensor array in order to help effect this, and Phlesc is just going to be helping out with somebody. So insight and science you seem to already have selected, Mark, so that would be a good one for me. So that suggests to me that Phlesc and Gurkau are the ones who are doing all the math and inputting the computer code in, whereas Tavish is assisting in a different way by actually physically modifying the isolinear circuits and whatnot on the sensors. So, yeah. Groovy. Go for it, folks. 1 dice from Phlesc, 1 dice from Tavish, 3 dice from Gurkau.
I've turned down the momentum already.
You took down the momentum? Excellent, thank you. 2 successes so far, not bad. What about the other 2? Oh, it was almost a 16, but it rolled over to an 8, so that's better. Nice. And an extra success there. So overall, 4 when you needed... Let me see. It says you only needed 1, so you got 3 over and above what you needed. So, 1, 2, 3. Since it was Neshnal's baby, can I get Connie to go to Neshlel's character sheet, and there's a red perform challenge button.
Mm-hmm.
If I could get you to press that, it'll ask you for the number of dice. Can I get you to put 7 in, please? And then roll. This is how much you'll be attacking its work. Ooh, multiple successes and effects.
Ooh.
So. 4 successes overall, which means that that goes through nicely. So what was it with Tavish? It was...
If we get 1 effect on a challenge dice, which Neshlel just did,
gain a breakthrough.
We gain a second breakthrough.
And Phlesc, within the nick of time, for every effect rolled, you get an additional point of work. So what I would suggest there is you usually need to score a 5 to gain an automatic breakthrough. So what you can do is you can spend 1 of your 3 effects to do the in the nick of time thing to gain an extra point on the work, which then earns you a breakthrough, and you can spend the last 2 extra effects on additional breakthroughs. Which means you will have gone from 0 to 3 breakthroughs in very little time.
Awesome.
Dang!
Go team engineering and science. Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty much really well done there. So the fact that Phlesc knows how to work quickly as well as correctly, and then Tavish knows how to take advantage of breakthroughs in order to achieve further breakthroughs, and of course the successes by the lady herself, means that you barrel through the first set of tasks to modify your sensors. Good grief.
I knew this hyperspanner would come in handy.
Good grief, did it? That's 3/4 of the work done in under an hour.
I do have a question.
Of course.
If Hopkins interrogates the Klingons again to see if they can identify exactly close to where their coordinates for the rendezvous point was, because I'm pretty sure the captain and the first officer should remember where those coordinates were leading them.
Okay.
Would that help as well?
It couldn't hurt, I suppose. So the next time,
no.
that was a sinister giggle I just heard. God, twirl your moustaches, Liz. I heard 1920s villain in that cut chuckle.
Are we a Starfleet or are we now the Klingons? So I'm just.
Well,
I'm just wondering.
I think we're aiming to. We're a bit of a hybrid at this point in time, I think. Unsurprising that there's some Klingon-esque influences going on, all things considered. But let us dart back to. Sorry, Liz, go on.
For Klingonness, she's got to be a Klingon to break Klingons.
Well, there you go. Exactly. They don't understand anything else, so you may as well go with what they know. Speaking of going with what they know, Dr. Sott.
Hello.
Let's get you the check to see if we can finally get Dr. Jabren away. So, Liz, because you didn't take part in that, you can be either Nurse Anegrin Uro, or you can be the EMH, your choice.
I will be the nurse since I
Okay.
had him speak earlier.
Mark, you can be the EMH this time.
Okie dokie.
So then, we're applying what Dr. Sott has learned, so this, to me, looks like it should be reason and medicine, for the most part. Let's see if we can bring this guy around from all three. Nurse Uro does actually have the xenobiology focus, so Nurse Uro is going to be very useful here. The EMH,
am I using...
Go on,
oh, sorry.
No, you
I was just going to say, am I using the emergency medicine focus again? Or...
Yes, because
Cool.
the EMH is going to be doing the same kind of thing. So that's 2 from Sott, 1 from each of the other 2. Nothing from Nurse Uro, never mind. And nothing from the EMH. The EMH is being singularly unhelpful to this this week.
Yeah, I don't think the EMH is being that useful. Tavish. Nudge, nudge.
What have I done?
No,
He's
it's...
being very EMH from Voyager.
Yes.
It's it was the suggestion from the last game about the.
Oh, God, removing the EMH for something.
Yeah. I remember the conversation now. That was after. Yes.
What were you going to replace the EMH with? Was it a cloaking device?
Yes. Yeah. I was planning to. I said I was going to think about it. And I have thought about it, and a cloaking device is not a good idea. So.
I'm just sort of having a quiet word with the EMH over here to try and get his act together.
Yeah. Trying to bury the hatchet once for all. Right, you don't like me, and I don't like you. But pull your finger out, for God's sake.
Just a message to the doctor, not to the EMH, but to the doctor, going, "Don't worry, he won't be around for long."
Is that done out loud over the comm so that the EMH can hear?
No.
All right then. Secure transmission to Dr. Sott. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we try re-rolling that? We've all got like determination and stuff left over, right?
Well, Nurse Uro being a non-player character at the moment, does not have anything, but the EMH does have walking, talking database of medical knowledge as a determination. If folks want to re-roll the EMH's attempt.
Sure. I'll remove determination, perform the task again.
1 dice with focus.
Oh.
That's
Hey!
much better.
Boom. Oh,
So
my chat
the
worked really
talking
well.
to really worked. So that's actually 3 successes now. Alrighty, much better. I almost pictured that Dr. Sott took the EMH over to one side, slapped him in the face.
Just said to him, "Look, Tavish is on about getting rid of you."
Pull your act together, prove your worth, or we're dismantling your program. You can't dismantle my program. I'm a valued member of this crew. Or at least I could
No,
be.
yeah. Nope, no one in this crew wants you.
Well, listen, give me just one more chance. I can root myself to you. Which is possibly the closest Robert Picardo I've ever done, right there. But there we go.
That's good.
With the EMH's help, you do manage to find the places and the dosage necessary to bring Dr. Jabren around. And his neural activity starts to show signs of coming back to what you assume are the norms for wakefulness consciousness. And after a couple of moments, his eyes do flicker open. And that's when he jolts up in bed. And I'm going to leave that there for the moment.
I was going to say very quickly, I'll just, tap my comm badge, let everyone know on the bridge that he's come round.
Dr. Jabren is now conscious. Okay. That was another dastardly chuckle. You've got a real dastardly chuckle going on there, Elizabeth. Don't lose it. Don't ever lose it. I love it. It's not quite that bad, but it's, Yeah, there we go. It's on the cusp of being a 1920s villain. Nevertheless, let's get back to the guys who are attempting to track down the torpedo. So, same jobby as before, but this time Hopkins can actually aid by putting in presence and command to represent her interrogation of the Klingons. That'll be 1 dice from Hopkins with focus of interrogation. The rest of you guys can continue as you did previously, but there won't be any spending of momentum because you will now have the maximum of 5. Go for it, like. So Hopkins, successful in her interrogation, gets an idea as to the rendezvous coordinates of the ship. Where it was going to rendezvous just outside of Romulan territory, as it turns out, just on the cusp of the neutral zone. So that gives you a better place to aim for. So let's have Phlesc and Tavish also give the same previous rolls that they did just then. Slightly less success from Phlesc, but definitely a good one from Tavish. And finally, Connie, if you could give us Lieutenant Gurkhau's 2 dice.
With a focus of statistical probability.
Indeedy do.
Lovely.
Nice.
Oh.
Okay, no, still 3 successes overall, which was over and above what you needed, so that's 2 over. So, Connie, once again, can I get you to do the perform challenge thing, but this time only rolling 6, not 7. Okay. 6 successes, which in and of itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is enough to give you the final breakthrough, and so the effect means that it can be you can either spend it on Nick of Time to do an extra breakthrough, an extra track, or an extra breakthrough, but either way, you got it! You can now safely report. Go on, sorry.
Either. Does it, if we increase breakthroughs, or if we complete it, does it make a difference? Or are we just
not really, no. It
Okay.
equates to the same thing. If you achieve an extra breakthrough over and above what was needed, but you've already succeeded, so, both amount to the same thing. So using it in either way was just mainly extra gravy on the dinner. So okay, excellent. You have now managed to correctly what's the word I'm looking for? Give me a tech word.
Reacquired?
Reconfigure. Pardon me. I found it eventually. You've reconfigured the sensors to scan for the radiation wave, and you do discover it. Sensors are now picking up a radiation wave that seems to have within it a wavelength that would correspond to not only the Klingon tachyon emissions to do with their cloaking device, but also the, for lack of a better word, quantum emissions that come off of the quantum torpedo. So you've got it. You're fairly confident that you've cracked it. This is the trail you need to follow. So the trail corresponds to the rendezvous coordinates that Hopkins managed to get out of the Klingons. But what you also notice is that as you are following this trail, the radiation is increasing. So the radiation output from the ship is increasing gradually but significantly the further along this trail you follow. And this is also when you get the news that Dr. Jabren is awake in sickbay. Back to sickbay, Jabren actually leaps up from the biobed and starts backing away. Notices that Ensign Akos, who's still a bit groggy from the sedative but is awake, is by there, and then starts backing away from Ensign Akos. And Jabren is looking around furiously and spots the door. Look, please. I don't want to have to hurt anybody, but I will if you do not let me get off this damn ship. What would you like to do? Anybody have any thoughts whatsoever?
Who's in the med bay?
At the moment, just Ensign Akos, the EMH, Nurse Euro, and Dr. Sott. Everybody else be busy.
So, this will be down to Dr. Sott, I think.
Heck.
No pressure, Doc, but...
No kidding. What do you guys think?
Would we have restrained him?
Do we send Garo Lisi back to the med bay?
Do you send
I
security
know
chief back?
Hopkins would have suggested.
Yep, go on.
Hopkins would have suggested you restrain him after you gave him the slip the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need a decidedly very non-lethal way of. Can we just like put a? Can we are there sort of force fields in the med bay that we can use to just sort of plonk around him?
If you were concerned about his escaping after, I'm okay with you retroactively, because there are restraining fields on biobeds as default. Because sometimes you don't want patients to thrash and injure themselves or others. So there are restraining fields that are like force fields that just about touch a patient to stop them from being able to move out of the biobed.
Mm-hmm.
So I am all right with you guys spending a momentum point to retroactively put in that the restraint field was activated.
Yeah,
Only for the best.
Yeah.
Okay. Then whoever, probably Chris in this instance, if you want to nick off a point of momentum to represent a
of course
retroactive activation of the force field, then yes, Jabren tries to sit up but then meets the restraint field. And then says, well, you gotta let me off of this damn ship. So, now what would Dr. Sott like to do, now that he's got him restrained? You've sent a message up to the bridge, so anything else you want to do? Or do you just want to try again, Matt? Or do you just want to wait until security gets here?
I think at this point we should just probably wait until security gets here. I've got him back awake.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm content to just wait for the top men to come back down, the top folks.
So, the very tall and intimidating Lieutenant Garrow comes along and can indeed have a go at getting out of him what's necessary. So,
Could I also come along?
Hopkins can definitely appear at a juncture, but bearing in mind this kind of thing was going on at the same time as the whole thing with the modifying the sensors to track the...
yeah, because she does not... She wants to be intimidating too.
I'm sure, yes, and I didn't expect that, but Garrow gets there first and can try getting something out of Jabren before the first officer gets there. So,
yeah, I think we'll let Garrow try and do something before our first officer gets there.
So let's have go on then, Dave. Since you acceded to the idea, let's have a presence and security check from Lieutenant Garrow, please, if you could. He doesn't have interrogation or anything like that, so it's just going to go on that alone. And it's going to be against. It's going to be against Jabren's own.
Can Dr. Sot assist as like a good cop, bad cop
He can
situation?
certainly try, yeah, if he wants to.
I've got like bedside manner or warm welcome.
So the good cop, yeah.
So 1 dice and then
Presence and medicine you can use for this, I think.
cool.
Because you're using
Fine,
your
presence.
trained bedside manner. Presence and security from the security chief, please.
Yes.
2 dice. Oh, that's a
Boom.
good one from Sot. Nice, nice, nice. So anything that Garrow can add is now extra 2 over what was needed. Nice, very nice. So you get your 2 momentum back. Alright, so good cop, bad cop. Definitely it seems to work. And even Jabren does actually get angry and insists that he really does need to get off of this ship. And is struggling against the restraint field, but obviously he can't get off. And then eventually he just kind of relents and goes, right, please, if I tell you what you want to know, you have to swear to me that you are not going to hand me back to my government. I'll request political asylum in the Federation. As soon as you can give me that.
That would be something to. I think they will. As soon as that question is asked, I think honestly, whether Dr. Tot or Garrow would go and tell the captain. I think that's a captain's decision on whether we can do that. I don't think that's an officer or even a first officer's.
It's above my pay grade, man.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Oh, thank goodness that he wasn't. That Hopkins wasn't there.
yeah. So asking, telling the captain exactly what was said. What
What Jabren claimed.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah, Jabren claimed.
Meanwhile, with Hopkins on her way down to sickbay in order to see if she can't wrangle anything else out of Dr. Jabren, as I noted, the radiation trail, that you've been following, the amount of radiation that your sensors are reading been steadily increasing until eventually Lieutenant Gurkow gets a radiological alert from the sensors saying that tachyon radiation levels are now getting pretty dangerous. Not for the ship, not for the combs exactly, but they are now at the level of danger to life. And that's when Neshlel also gets the reading on sensors that there appears to be a ship dead in space, slightly ahead of the combs.
Turn back now.
Bring us out of warp, Commander. Sure enough, just ahead of the combs, a safe distance away, the third Klingon bird of prey that got away is there, floating in space, listing.
Might I suggest yellow alert?
Okie dokie. Now, as it is, the shields are already at their maximum. Back to the bridge.
All hands on deck.
sensors currently are not showing any other ships in the area. The Takarian security forces are at best an hour away or just under. So you've
Can
got...
I ask?
Go on.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Oh.
Was
Sorry.
it to do with the ship, or your ship, or the radiation? Takarians?
I can't remember. I've just
Okay.
my head.
You just lost it?
gone.
Okay,
Sorry.
never mind.
Yeah,
It'll come
just
back
lost
to you.
it, Sorry.
So the ship's not cloaked, or are we?
The ship
seeing
is
through
not
it?
cloaked. In fact, the Captain Sobek asks asks whoever fills in for Lieutenant Garrow, which may as well be Neshlel. Is everyone on the bridge? No, not everyone is on the bridge. Obviously, Dr. Sot is in sickbay, as is Lieutenant Garrow. Phlesc will be on the bridge, as will Lieutenant Gurkow. Tavish is more than likely making her way back down to main engineering from having been at the primary sensor array, so not everybody is on the bridge at the moment. You. So, yes, Captain Sobek asks Lieutenant Gurkow to do a sensor scan of the ship, and I don't require a task roll for this because it's plainly obvious that the ship is unpowered and appears dead in space. Not only that, but there are no life signs on board the Klingon vessel either. But you are reading a massive amount of tachyon radiation. Lethal amounts of tachyon radiation on board the Klingon ship.
I remember my question.
What was your question?
How close are we to the Romulan border?
Close.
Like super close.
We're
Not-
straddling it.
You're close to the your edge of the neutral zone. Yes. If they were given a few more minutes, they might have crossed it. But it seems that the Klingon ship has suffered some kind of catastrophe or other and is now just dead in space. And its crew are literally dead.
Do we? So honestly, I honestly we need to. I honestly feel like we need to hear from our prisoner exactly what is going on before we make a decision on anything
Okay.
to do with this.
What
So
can we do?
maybe, sorry to interrupt you there, Mark, but maybe suggest that Dr. Jabren be brought up to the bridge in order to face
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Escorted to the bridge by Lieutenant Garrow and Commander Hopkins.
With a
Okay.
Dr. Sot in tow.
With Dr. Sot in tow, so Dr. Sot can just remain there at his medical station, but can definitely be with them when they arrive on the bridge. Tavish can either go to the bridge herself or can patch in via internal sensors to see what's going on. Her choice.
Yeah. Well, I'll
I do
Which
have-
one?
I do have a question.
Of course.
The EVA suits, do they block out radiation?
Right, okay, so Dr. Sot would be able to tell you that. Ooh, that's a good point. Dr. Sot can give a reason and medicine task check for me, please, with a difficulty of 1 to answer the question about the radiation.
Sure.
2 successes, 1 over what you needed. So, the level of tachyon radiation that the sensors are reporting on board of this ship says that the concentration of tachyon particles is so dense that the EV suits alone won't protect anyone who goes over there for very long before cellular decay will begin to affect them. They will give you a buffer of time, but not much. But with the extra success, Dr. Sot might possibly be able to synthesize some radiation medicine that might give you a bit of extra time on top of the protection the EV suit can offer. But again, the sheer levels of tachyon radiation on board that ship would eventually get through the longer you spend on the ship.
Do we know where it's being emitted from? Because if it is definitely the torpedo, can Jibran tell us how we can modify, change, or do something remotely before we go on board?
Dr. Jibran, on board of the... when he's brought on board the... onto the bridge, rather. Guarantee me political asylum in the Federation. Assure me that you won't hand me back over to my government, and I will tell you everything that I know. I first need that assurance. I cannot be given back to my government.
Captain?
I would say, can he tell us why he can't go back to his government?
He did say he'd tell us everything.
Yes, but in order to grant political asylum, we should really know what the danger is to him. So that's it's nothing to do with the request we've got about the torpedo. It's what is he so afraid of with his government? What's going on?
Oh, that is true.
Is Hopkins on the bridge now?
Yep.
She would say it probably has something to do with the fact he warned the Romulans and gave them the schematics for our ship.
He looks... Dr. Jibran looks sharply over at Hopkins at that, but then he just nods. Yes. Yes, I did.
The Klingons knew about our shields and where to hit us.
Only to do the minimum amount of damage necessary to disable your ship so that they could get away without harming anybody.
Sure. Now it looked like possibly when they teleported the torpedo aboard, they unwittingly irradiated themselves. She's just guessing at this point. That's a logical guess.
He can get political asylum, but he could still be tried by the Federation for his crimes.
And that's
he's
fine.
Endangered.
Alright, can we ask why you don't want to go? This is Tavish speaking. Tell us why you don't want to go.
Because they will probably kill me in retaliation for my failure.
Is that because they are working with the Klingons here and the Romulans?
No. But they will kill me if you give me back to them. So please, grant me my request, and I will tell you everything I know.
I think it is put to the captain, but if he has feared for his life, that's reason enough for political asylum.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's enough basis.
So, Dr.
Hopkins
Jibran...
will-
Sorry, go on. Hopkins will...
Hopkins will mutter in Klingon. Maybe I should grant you asylum with the Klingon High Council.
With the Universal Translator operational, Dr. Jibran just nods and goes, either way, it won't be the Takarians.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
Obviously, he doesn't know much about the Klingon High Council.
well, yes, but the fact that he would prefer that over the Takarians.
Yeah. All right. Let's grant him a political asylum. Well,
That's everything now.
Okay.
yeah.
So there's a couple of moments given over to the fact that he doesn't want to do anything until it's made official. So a data pad is brought to him. He has to sign it. It has to be co-signed by the command crew, and the whole reason behind it, fearing for his life, and has to be input and professional. The moment it's all signed, sealed, and certified, he hands the data pad back to whoever it is that gave it to him, and then nods. All right, the full story. I was handed the schematics for the power source by one of the Takarian security generals. I'd asked where they'd got it. They said that I didn't need to know that. But after a while, I began to notice striking similarities with the mini singularity technology used by the Romulans and the technology on this new torpedo power source. So I began to make inquiries. Apparently, Takarian security conducted a black ops operation that raided a nearby Romulan... what's the word I'm looking for? A Romulan observational outpost along our border. Security attacked it, killed everyone on board, and stole the microsingularity technology. And that is how it ended up on my desk. I couldn't, in all conscience, create a weapon that had basically cost lives and could drag my people into a confrontation with the Romulans. So, even though I had to undergo the pretense that I was still working on the torpedo, which meant that I actually had to work on the completion of the torpedo, I opened communication through various background channels to the Romulans, offering to give them back the technology that was stolen from them. They said that they would send envoys in order to intercept the technology when it was ready to be test-fired. Now, I didn't know at the time that the Takarian government would be using this new quantum torpedo as a way of trying to buy themselves into membership of the Federation. So I had no idea that you or anybody else would be dragged into this. I thought it was going to be a simple science experiment, a small science ship that could be easily overcome by the Klingons, who would give up without a fight. But things got difficult when the Combs showed up. So I had to improvise. I needed access to your power grid and shield systems in order to make sure that the Klingons could disable your systems quickly with minimal risk to anybody's life so that they could get away with the torpedo. I didn't know it was going to be Klingons or the Duras, but it made sense. I was told to wait for the Romulans' envoys to arrive and transport it back to Romulan space, and that's what was supposed to happen. I was going to be given asylum in the Romulans' territory. I was gonna run if the Romulans looked like they were going to kill me. I just needed to get away, because if the Takarian security forces determined that I was responsible for the loss of this very expensive project that they put me on, they would probably more than likely kill me. And so we arrive here. The whole situation has been a complete debacle, and I'm sorry for the risk that you and your crew have been put under, but it was either that, or allow the senseless and needless murder, slaughter of Romulans for their technology by my government to occur without repercussions. I mean, the Romulans would have eventually found out, and who knows what would have happened. It would have dragged the Federation and my people into a conflict with the Romulans. That's it. That's all I have.
I mean, Phlesc picks up on the fact that he said he didn't want to create a weapon that was the result of death, but what does he think a weapon is?
Well, obviously, I didn't want it to actually get into the hands of anybody who would use it.
Tavish just goes, look, I understand where you're. Well, I don't understand where you're coming from, but at least I can sympathise with your story. And she looks, at this point, she's saying this in a very kind of calm manner. Then she gets a really angry face on her. The whole time she's been speaking, though, her fist is clenched tight. She goes,
around the hyperspanner?
Yeah, around the hyperspanner. Why not? She goes, what I can't forget is you touching my ship. She goes, everything else I can sympathise with. My ship, I cannot. What I would like to know is exactly what's going on with the weapon, because it is radiating something bad. You know this weapon inside and out. What's going on?
In all likelihood, the Klingons did the one thing I told you not to do, which was to use a transporter system to remove the torpedo. But obviously, with the situation going not at all like it had been planned, they obviously panicked and decided to get away with it as quickly as possible. In all likelihood, the quantum state of the torpedo has been altered, and it's leaking radiation, from what I can gather from what you say.
And
Go on.
in your opinion, what is the best course of action now? Is that weapon going to explode?
As long as... If you can get onto the ship, you can probably disable its power source in order to stop whatever reaction is going on within the torpedo that's generating the radiation. The whole issue you have there is getting onto a highly irradiated Klingon ship.
Is there no way to deactivate it or reduce the risk for mission remotely before we board? Now, what's the danger of shooting it from a distance?
What's the danger of teleporting the torpedo off the Klingon ship into space?
You would risk a quantum detonation. It could do irreparable damage to subspace in this area. It might even still space around it. The combs could be trapped in an area of stilled space that it would take weeks, months, maybe even years to traverse at impulse.
So our best course of action is to get on that ship and deactivate this. Yes?
If you can
by the
find
sounds
some
of it.
way of venting the radiation from the interior of the ship, then you would have a better chance of survival, I suppose.
Alright, fantastic. Tavish is going to go... Sorry.
I would be able to vent the radiation if everyone else will be ready to deactivate the torpedo once it's done. I want you guys on the ship until radiation's vented first.
We were able
Better to
to
risk one person than the whole crew.
we were able to remotely detonate it. Can we not remotely deactivate it, or at least
I'm afraid-
wind power down?
I'm afraid, Lieutenant, that the whole remote detonation thing was a ruse. There was never any remote detonation code. I never inputted. There was never supposed to be the ability to remote detonate it. I wanted to get it back to the Romulans. It had to be delivered back to the Romulans intact.
Okay.
Alright.
That's why you
need-
always build a failsafe.
And
I
the
think I'd
failsafe
like
is on the
to-
torpedo.
Of course. I think I'll go about synthesizing some, anti-radiation serum or anything I can do to just give us a little bit more time.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopkins would say that she would go alone and best risk just herself than the rest of the
You
senior
do.
crew.
Tavish will turn around and go, you know nothing about engineering.
I know Klingon ships though.
Unfortunately, Lieutenant
yes.
Tavish has a point, Commander, interjects Captain Sobek. As talented as you are, as knowledgeable as you are with the systems of a Klingon ship, it would more than likely be Lieutenant Tavish's engineering experience you would need to regain enough power to the Bird of Prey's systems in order to attempt to vent the radiation from the ship in the first instance.
Aren't we remotely getting to the ship from here?
With the amount of radiation and the inability to transport over due to the radiation and the unstable state of the torpedo, it would be more than likely needed to use a shuttlecraft to get over to the ship.
Okay, Captain.
With my
Alright.
parafigure and bioscanner, I'd like to join Hopkins to assist in the work effort.
I'm also signing up to monitor vital signs.
Also,
Can't the vital signs be monitored on the ship though? Like she's trying to minimize the amount of people that can get killed.
And that's great, but you've got people who are actually volunteering to go over on a very dangerous mission.
I want to see the Klingon ship.
Alright.
I want to see
So
it.
basi-
I like that.
So basically, we're taking the whole player base here.
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty
Taking
much.
the squad.
I think taking the whole squad, we have a bigger chance of success than taking only like 2 or 3 of the officers.
I am
Alright,
forced to agree. Very well.
Fine.
Doctor,
gonna be a
synthesize your
cozy
radiation medication, and the rest of you get suited up in EVA suits. This will not be pleasant.
Am I rolling anything?
No.
Like maybe
no,
I can-
you shouldn't
okay.
need to, because
I
there
hope you're
are
right.
drugs available. Let's see if I can find them. Character equipment, drugs. Right, let's see. Triox was low oxygen. Lectrozine was stabilizing cardiovascular. Hyronyline. Radiation poisoning. There we go. So,
Lovely.
dosages of hyronyline will be required for everybody to give you a fighting chance at holding off the radiation. The EV suits will offer some protection, but not much more. So, go on.
Should we be taking something like a field destabilizer with us as well? If we're going into something that's going to have lots of radiation.
Field destabilizer. I'm not sure unless power is out on the Klingon ship, so you won't be meeting any force fields, and therefore there will not be fields to destabilize. So, if you want to take the field destabilizer, Captain Soberg would say that it's not part. It doesn't make sense for as far as the mission parameters go. So, if you want to take a field destabilizer, you will be paying its opportunity cost from your momentum pool to take it.
How about we take the hover sledge? I mean,
You'll definitely
Yes.
be paying the opportunity cost for that.
So my logic with the field destabilizer
Go on.
is if Tavish and I are there, we could possibly modify that if we need to, instead of destabilizing, but generating a protective field around the torpedo.
So you actually want to create, rather than the field destabilizer, you want the opposite. You want a force field generator.
That might have actually been more sensible, yeah.
Would the emergency transponder help boost transporter range to beam us out if we need to?
Ooh, I think that's probably a good idea. Yeah, yeah. So you won't have to pay opportunity cost for that.
Need a quick exit.
hold on. Are Type 3 phasers?
No, there's gonna be plenty of. There's plenty
I
of.
think you don't
there's
need
plenty
to
of
worry
weapons.
about.
We don't need escalation. We don't.
I don't think they were particularly
just-
impressed with our armoring up last time, so maybe we should, you know.
I was just asking, you know.
No, there'll be plenty of. There's plenty of Klingon weapons on that ship. You'll probably each be able to get your own pallet.
So Tavish will turn around to the captain, kind of take him away, you know, pull him aside for 1 minute,
Okay.
and have a very quiet word with him, and go,
Guns.
I am very confident in my ability to sort out this problem with the torpedo. I am also confident in the assistance I will get from Commander Phlesc as well.
Ooh, promoted him. I like it.
I know,
did
really promoted him.
Oh, is it no Lieutenant Phlesc? Sorry, my bad.
The only commander is Hopkins.
Ensign Kim in
Is it-
shambles.
Is it? I can't remember. Is it Lieutenant Commander? I can't remember.
The only lieutenant commander you've got is the non-player character Helms. Helms character. Lieutenant Commander Leon Zhang. Everyone else is lieutenant except for your first officer.
But seeing as we have the person who made the
torpedo.
Made the torpedo and has put us in this situation, I could see this going a long way with our court system, to maybe lessen his
sentence.
Yes.
True in
He
many
is
ways. However, if his life were also put in danger by taking part in this mission, we could very well lose the one witness we need in order to verify the situation, and
That is-
the whole point of the political asylum in the first instance.
And
Can he
also-
have then? Can he have a comms transmission to us if we can? So
I will have engineering boost power to communications, and Ensign Ravalon will be monitoring and keeping an open comms link with the away team at all times. The radiation will prove to be an interference in this regard. Go on, Mark.
I was going to say I don't want the guy that's just been messing with ships, and we'll possibly try and do a runner if we react.
yeah, but having him on comms would be a
A potential
Bonus.
bonus. Yeah.
a potential bonus that he doesn't have to be anywhere near a system. He is just he's nowhere near a computer or anything like that. He's got guards around him.
Okay. So we've got Hopkins going, Tavish going, Sot is going to monitor vitals, Gurkhau's going because, and Phlesc is also off because of. Multiple folks are being selected and being moved around, so whoever's doing it, can I get you to freeze for just a sec?
So in terms of equipment, we've got the body armor.
The EVA suit, yeah, if you want to grab EVA suits for your characters.
EVA suit. I was going to get the engineering tricorder.
Okay.
What do you got?
I've not got that. I have now. The question I had was I can see the field destabilizer, but we got a field generator in there?
No, we don't.
We do have pattern enhancers that will allow us to boost transporter range,
Yes.
as well as the emergency transponder.
So I will. Don't bother with the field destabilizer, and I'll just put it in my head that you are taking a field generator with you, and I will try and locate the stats for a field generator at some later juncture and put them in the equipment list. We will assume you have one.
Cool.
For now.
I think that's all we need.
Okay. So, if you can just make sure that you've got all the equipment in your belongings on your character sheets that you want to take. Certainly seeing EVA suits and torch beacons and other such stuff. The new armor you don't need. Body armor and EVA suit. So Dr. Sot's going in ready for anything.
I think that's a holdover from the last episode, actually.
It
I don't need the
probably
body armor.
Just delete it, it's fine.
Yeah, no worries.
I did grab a pattern enhancer in emergency
There we are.
transponder, just in
Excellent.
case.
Alright, back in a sec.
No problem. Alright then, so, who has got the best con? It's more than likely going to be Tavish again.
Mm-hmm.
Gurkhau can assist. So, first we need to pilot the shuttle over. So that's a simple matter, just requires a control and con task with a difficulty of 1. So I'm assuming Tavish is going to be piloting the shuttle. So
Right, she is.
give us a roll then, please. Just to make sure that you can dock with the Klingon ship without incident. You do, and then some. So you locate the docking port on the top of the ship, so you are able to get down inside of the what should be, if it's a regular Klingon ship, Klingon transporter room. That's more or less where you guys appear as you come out of an access hatchway. Let's change the ambience. So the first thing you notice when you get on board of the Klingon ship is the extraordinarily eerie silence that descends. There's the occasional groaning of the ship's superstructure, but that's about it. There is the presence of one Klingon body behind the control, slumped over the control panel for the Klingon transporter system, and on examination, his skin is blistered and burned in many places. Signs of acute radiation poisoning. As you all get onto the ship and start having a look around, within moments, you actually all begin to feel a tingling in your extremities. This is the first sign of radiation.
Right, time to go.
Okay.
Yeah. Time to get moving. Probably best bet is the engineering area to restore power, so we can start venting.
So, yes. Ship to radiation, which isn't going to be quick because power is down, and therefore getting the doors open if they're closed is going to require a bit of manual operation. So time is kind of against you, but you do have the advantage that you do have Hopkins with you. So the Klingon signage is not a hindrance. Again, any bodies you come across all show the same signs of radiation. Radiation burns and damage. So, let's get you guys. It takes a bit of climbing through down ladders, the equivalent of the Klingon equivalent of Jeffrey's tubes, because some of the doors have sealed as a result of the power loss in order to maintain atmosphere. But eventually, you do reach the engineering section. When you do, though, the tingling in your extremities is now starting to give way to numbness, and you're starting to feel slightly nauseated. Your hands are starting to shake, and so grasping things like tricorders and the like is becoming slightly more difficult. There are doors in front of you which should lead to the main engineering section. Yes.
I don't have a token.
Yes, you do. Okay. There you are.
We need to locate the torpedo.
No, we need to
We need to get rid of the radiation first.
Restore power, vent radiation. Yes. Yes.
Hopkins would attempt to open the door, and probably ask if Phlesc would help.
Yep.
Well, there's no power, so you need to locate the manual override, which is a panel. So, if we have Phlesc assisting with insight and engineering,
Cool.
and then Hopkins can give us a fitness and security check to actually yank the lever down if you find it. So, difficulty 1. This should be. So if we can have Phlesc first.
Do we want to use momentum, or shall we save it?
Yes.
And I use my determination of death before dishonor.
If you really, really want to.
I've knocked a point off momentum if you want to add one to your pool. I don't have a focus, so I'm just rolling 1 dice.
Okay. So
I mean,
Liz,
I have
you are rolling
shipboard
3
tactics.
dice, and you are also got determination going on. So.
Would shipboard tactic systems help here?
I will go with Yeah. Yes, it will.
To give me a focus.
We can ignore that complication.
Haha! Very quickly. Ignore it! Nothing to do with us.
Yeah,
So-
I use determination.
You didn't get it
I
back,
get it
I'm afraid.
back.
That's rolled 0d6. If you notice... Oh, there we go. You got it back. You got it
a
back.
veteran.
Yes, you did. You got it back. It pays to be a veteran. So, with Phlesc helping out, you locate the panel that contains the manual release, which, when you open the panel, is this big flip switch which you need to grasp with both hands and pull. And it takes a bit of effort to do so, but thankfully Hopkins is all the fit. So it grinds open with a dragging of metal on metal, but you do get the engineering section open.
With those successes, do we get that momentum back?
Oh yes, you do.
Cool.
Thank you for reminding me.
she will remove the body that's probably slumped over this console.
Slump crash.
Right, move.
It's like, get to work, Tavish. Quickly, please.
Yes.
Yeah. And because she really can't help, she's just gonna start dragging the bodies into a pile, into a corner.
Okay.
Corpse corner.
And even though that they're House of Duras, she will still be like, hopefully you guys made it.
Alright, so finding the correct console is going to be a reason and engineering task. This will be difficulty 1.
Oh yeah, Hopkins will probably help with that since she can speak the language.
Yep, so you can aid. Whoever else wants to aid can aid and can do so.
I will probably just jump in.
So you wanted me to be the main person for this?
Yeah.
Makes
I'll
sense.
assist, just in case.
Seeing as I don't have any focuses for this. Oh no, power systems.
There you go.
I think would linguistics work for me since I'm trying to point out the right console language-wise?
Works for me. Very good.
All right. What attribute am I using?
Reason and engineering.
Reason. Okay.
I have electro-plasma power systems. Is that what Klingons?
That can help.
Yep. Right. I'll put focus in my roll.
No.
Oh, we'll ignore that.
Ooh.
Okay, we've ignored one. No more, please.
Oh no! Oh God! Holy cow! All right.
Roll.
Wow, Forge Foundry really wanted you to get a complication there. You're like, I'll ignore that. It goes, no, you won't. Oh hell. Right. Okay. So you can spend a point of determination to re-roll that if you really want to, and I would recommend you probably want to.
I'm going to re-roll that one.
Yeah.
Right, rolling for one. Oh,
that's better.
Oh my goodness.
So as Phlesc is about to hit one button or pass one relay, someone quickly points out that that's not the one he really wants to go for.
That's not the big red button.
Yeah,
That's the vent compartment into space button.
Hopkins points out what that says on the Klingon console.
Considering that Hopkins seems to be reading the Klingons their last rites, she just kind of gestures in a direction, considering you've got a complication, just kind of gestures in a direction. You should find it on that panel over there. It's like, well, great, thanks. There's like umpteen buttons on this.
Yeah, she's making sure, and she's like, even though you didn't die in battle, I hope you guys still made it to onto the Black Fleet.
Yeah.
Hope you still are on the Black Fleet.
So this comes down to Tavish now, it looks like. Reason and engineering. Much better. Alright. You've located the system and you've got a pretty good idea of how to do it. Now the issue is you've got to restore power to the control panel in order to operate it to get some of the juice flowing. So this is going to be another reason and engineering task, but it is going to require the sacrifice of either a phaser or a tricorder, something with a power source.
Tavish will give up her Type 1 phaser.
Alrighty.
I don't mind surrendering mine just because I am borderline useless with a phaser.
Hopkins is going to slide hers across and be like, I'm better with a bat lift.
No, I was going to say, seeing it, I'm borderline useless with my Type 1 phaser as well, so...
So you've got two Type 1 phasers that you can combine together to make an actual, almost as good as Type 2. So.
Yes, yeah, we'll use both.
Boom.
She'll also make sure you have her Type 2 just in case that is needed as well.
Okay.
Because she's better with the bat lift.
Lieutenant Gurko to one side is going, like I need a phaser.
Do you want assistance from Phlesc, given that I just rolled a 20?
Yes, I think Lily will want that.
Do we maybe want to bring Lieutenant Gurko in on this then, if since last time seemed to go so horrific?
please. So is this Tavish again at the forefront?
Reason and engineering makes sense.
Okay. Are we saying power systems or experimental technology?
Either works.
Technology.
Power systems
Okay.
makes more sense because you're trying to use the power of two Type 1 phases to reinvigorate the console. So, if those who are helping, Phlesc, Gurkow, can give reason and... no, Phlesc... Is Phlesc helping or not?
I'm gonna help.
Okay.
Please help.
Yeah. I'm gonna help, and I've got the power systems focus, so I'll add that as well.
So Hopkins is keeping watch or sorting out the bodies. So Gurkow and
Yes.
Phlesc can both assist on this then. Reason and engineering both.
She's making sure she's collected all the bodies.
Go on, Phlesc.
Oh.
Come on, Coco.
Oh.
Leave it.
Rolled the wrong one.
That's fine. Roll again. Just roll one this time. Aspect.
That's
One. There you go.
Oh.
2 successes so far. Really good.
We do have a full momentum pool, Tavish.
We
so
do.
you can
Do you
still-
want me? Do you want
Yeah.
me to use?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, we've
Okay.
been getting it back, so might as well.
Yep. Cool. 3 dice for Tavish then, please.
Dice gods, please be nice to me.
Well, wait, there's a body up here I need to move down.
Alright. Dragging all the corpses. Yeah, 3 dice, no complications, 3 successes overall, yet you get back the momentum you wanted, and... It's a sudden thrum as the power systems reactivate.
Right, time to vent the ship. Well, not time to vent the irradiation, not vent
Please
the
don't.
ship.
Please don't. Please don't bend the ship.
Well,
Well,
we're
I
in
mean-
EVA suits, so
That is true. Yeah, you could bend the whole ship.
Tavish has been doing this with numb fingers, by the way.
Yes, and they're getting more numb by the minutes. In fact, your legs are starting to feel a little bit wobbly.
All right. All right. Let's vent the radiation.
Okay, so what we're going to need is... You're going to need to purge the environmental controls. So you're going to need to use the environmental control system to purge the ship. So this is going to be Reason and Engineering difficulty 3. And I am going to spend a threat on upping the complication range, because if you get this wrong, well...
well, we've
Alright,
got a full momentum pool, and I'm here to help.
So, go for it.
All right. Are we doing this the same as before? Gurkow, Phlesc helping and Tavish doing it, or are we
Yeah.
having?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Sounds
And
like-
steal a momentum.
Yes, still. While they're doing that, Hopkins is going to just put the emergency transponder and pattern enhancers down just in case.
Okay, nope, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. So, yes, Hopkins is doing a very good thing, just to make sure that you've got a plan B.
Why are you getting me to do all the reason and engineering?
You're the
again?
chief engineer. You're
Oh,
doing
actually-
the engineering stuff.
Wait, we have the same engineering and reason, so I can take this one then, if you'd rather.
No, I'm good. I'll do it.
You're just feeling the
Tavish.
pressure now, aren't you?
I am really feeling the pressure.
Right, here's Phlesk's support. Go on.
Phlesc support, I like that. It's like tech
If
support.
you
but
need, I
Phlesc
can use my star-crossed medal.
Yes, you can. So now would be a really good time to use it.
Ah. So I would use the statistical probability
Yes,
focus. So
makes sense to me.
anything under 6 should
Yes, anything under 6 will result in 2 successes rather than just 1.
Okay. Blowing on the dice.
I believe in you, Connie.
Off we go.
I believe in you.
Oh, it went to a 2 and rolled back the other way.
Oh, damn.
At least it's an 18, not a 19.
Well, exactly. It could have got. It was close to being as bad as it could have gone.
Ooh.
That leaves us with Tavish.
I spent momentum
You did. Okay, noted.
using your focus. Am I
Got
using
1
focus?
success, so
Well, I mean, we're still.
I would say what power systems?
yeah.
I mean, still power systems, but I don't know. Computers?
Yeah,
It is a
computers
computer.
Okay.
Power systems, warp engines, they all work.
Because I don't want to use the determination until we get to the.
Yeah, I'm saving
The
my
thing
life
itself,
yeah.
good
for
point.
exactly that reason.
Alright. Alright, here we go.
He's psyching
Nice
himself
God,
up for it. I love it.
Please, please be nice to me, please.
7, 4,
Oh!
8.
Oh!
Excellent.
So
Very
Nice.
good.
This is why she's got the values of cool in a crisis. You know, the player hasn't, but the character has.
uh,
All right. So as everybody's standing there, everybody helps with patching through the systems, cycling the power to where it's needed. After Hopkins' generalization of that button on that panel over there, you start to get the hang of it, which one, and eventually you access the environmental controls. Flip them and you definitely hear the environmental controls activate, and there's a whooshing sound as air is displaced out of all the various compartments. And the rad counters on your EVA suits start to go from a less insistent clicking to a somewhat more sporadic one. So this is good, because you were just about to start losing the feeling in your legs.
after that, Hopkins is going to turn around and be like, "Are you able to turn on power to the whole ship?"
Not she. Tavish just goes, I am not doing anything to this ship at the moment. I want to get to the torpedo.
And that
Torpedo phone.
requires bypassing security protocols in order to locate the proper system. Actually, hang on. Once it's dispersed into space, locate the prototype. Okay.
Have we got a hacker?
You need reason and security. So anybody with a reasonably good security score and reason should be able to assist in locating where the torpedo is being held based on internal sensors and transport logs.
That's Tavish out.
I mean, I have 8 reason, 5 security.
And
Gurk
I hasten to
hours,
note-
9 reason, 3 security.
So
Yeah,
that sounds like a job for you two.
Yep.
Dr. Sott, you're pretty encouraged by the fact that the radiation levels are going down, but obviously radioactive materials in the dust on the ship have adhered to the outside of the EVA suits, so there's still radioactivity going on your EVA suits. So time is still of the essence here.
Mm-hmm.
People's legs are getting a bit wobbly. With that in mind, if that's the case, in about 5 minutes, people will start to lose the ability to walk, as far as Dr. Sott's concerned. So,
Can we get another dose of the anti-radiation? Give us some more time.
well, you've already got it in your system, so, and it's lined the organs that are protected, but this can only do so much.
Sure.
So, back to Gurkow and Hopkins.
Alright.
You got this.
You mind if we use the momentum?
No, if you want to use it, you've got a full momentum pool. I think you should.
Yep.
Okay, so this is going to be reason and security. The difficulty is 1, because you now got access to internal sensors, so this shouldn't be too hard. Give it a go. Who's lead? I think Hopkins should be lead and Gurkha should be assisting.
Oh.
Personally. What with Hopkins' familiarity with Klingon ship systems.
Would shipboard tactical systems still work for this?
Internal sensors, yeah, I can go with that.
So is this a Hopkins and Dr. Sott?
This is a Hopkins and Lieutenant Gurkha, I think.
Didn't we say Dr. Sott for the security?
No, I got nothing. I've only got 1 security. Gurkha was 3.
Alright, I am re-rolling that 20.
Yep. That's better.
Ooh.
Hey!
And that's cool. That's lots of successes there. Nice. You locate the cargo bay where the torpedo was beamed into. It's not far away. You should have, it should take you under 5 minutes to get there.
Okay, let's go, run.
Time is starting to get very close. Alright, let me get you to where you end up. Bring Phlesc in. Right, so you come through a door, there is a cargo bay, and the very familiar site of the torpedo is there on the ground floor, as it were. Ground level of the cargo bay.
I would also have asked Dr. Sott if we actually turned on the full power of this Klingon ship, would he be able to radiate us using their medical bay to give us a little bit more time? Since we deradiated this whole ship.
You have deradiated the whole ship. The trouble is,
By the time we get to the med bay.
Yeah,
It's a small ship.
it is a small ship, but the power system's not fully up yet. You've
we've got
activated the environmental systems and internal sensors so far.
Let's Tavish and I set up this field generator. Try and buy some more time so we can.
Lieutenant Gurkha, can you help us, please?
Yeah, let's get this. Let's stop getting poisoned by the Takarian
Yes.
radiation.
And Dr. Sott, can you make sure that we are
Alive and well.
yeah.
And then Hopkins would just walk around and collect the bodies. And
Okay, fair enough. Okie dokie doos. Let's
He's
think.
not an
then.
engineer.
You are looking to turn off the torpedo?
Can get the Tavish can go, Commander. Can you get in touch with the ship, please? See if they whatever his name is.
Do we want to?
Dr. Jabran?
Yeah.
Is on the comms.
Do we want to set up the field generator just to reduce the radiation coming at us because we're so close to it?
Okay, one person can do that.
Alright, if that's going to happen, we need the commander in here too. Oh, sorry. I moved.
Right, let's
So,
set up the field generator. And
Two
I'll,
people can set up the field generator, and the other two can deal with the torpedo. Sott can keep a close eye on people's medicals status.
So commander needs to be down here too.
Okay, who's helping
Okay.
me and what am I rolling for the field generator?
Field generator won't take much. It's how you're configuring it. So what you're trying to do is contain the torpedo, yes?
Yeah, so I want to stop us getting poisoned.
So this is basically going to be control and... Let's see... Control and engineering from Phlesc, but we can do control and security from Hopkins as an assist.
Oh, that's a little bit better.
I've got force field technology as a focus, and I'm going to steal a momentum point to roll an extra dice.
Yep.
I want this done.
And here's the help from me.
Oh,
Nice.
that's good. That's good. and stealing a point of
Oh.
momentum. Oh, we
There's
ignore that
nothing.
complication,
We'll ignore that one. We got one success.
which was all you needed to set up the field correctly. So that's good. There was a moment there. So Phlesc, you're having problems. Your hands are shaking. Your knees are starting to feel weak. Your ability to perform fine motor control is being affected by the fact that your digits are shaking when you're trying to input the commands. Luckily, Hopkins, slightly sterner stuff, is able to help with that, activating the thing. Dr. Sott, can I get a reason and medicine check from you, quick? Difficulty
Certainly.
0. Oh, really good. Get momentum back for that. Yeah, radiation levels are down past lethal levels, but if you guys aren't put through decontamination soon, we're talking you've probably got 5 minutes before people start getting delirious from the effect it's having on their nervous system. So, monitoring people carefully at the moment. Yes, they're showing the early signs of the radiation starting to affect their nervous system. So, as a result, can I get Tavish and Gurkau to do the thing with trying to basically disable the power core?
Okay.
Or at least stabilize the power core.
I am going to use. Which one do I use? Where there's a will, there's a way, or cool in a crisis.
Whichever one you think would apply. Because it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
You know, keeping you cool in this situation when your hands are shaking out of your control is, probably a good one.
I would even argue mad scientist or the mad engineer.
Risk taker from Gurkau would apply if Gurkau's looking for determination too.
Yeah.
Might use my the reading again, since we're in a different scene.
Mm-hmm.
Spend the momentum to use control and science, but if I could use science one. But this means I have a focus as well.
Yep.
So I'm assisting.
Yes, you are.
this. Yeah. I'll roll first, then control
Yes,
and
please.
science.
We've also got momentum, sir.
Whoa!
Nice.
Very nice.
All right. I have. Do you want me to spend a momentum on this?
Yeah. We're like towards the end of the episode, right? And we got loads.
Yep.
Yeah, we can add it.
Okay. I am using a determination and a momentum, and I am using control and engineering.
Yes.
Do you need to use the determination? Because we can save that in case, because you've not got me to block a complication.
It's a good point. Do you want to save the determination in case of a complication? Or do you want to rack up the successes?
I'd rather rack up the successes.
That's entirely up to you.
It's your determination.
Yeah, but you make a good point.
You put doubt in his head now. I love it. Final decision then, or flip a coin.
All right. I will leave the determination out. So, if you guys are okay, I'm going to use another 2 to give me an extra die, so I have 4 dices.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Control and engineering, yes.
Control and
With-
engineering with
I
focus.
trust you.
With a focus of experimental technology.
Yep. You've already got 2 to go with, so you're looking good already, so...
4 dice.
Which means more chances for a complication, but... Let's see what happens.
So because
Please
I
do.
rolled a
Fine.
determination to reroll a 20, does that still count for the veteran trait?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The perks of being a veteran.
Just making sure before I roll it.
Yes, please.
And I get the determination.
Yep.
Please. Here we go.
So you've prayed to the machine god, I take it. Here we go. I see a 19, but not a 20.
That's
All
the Messiah.
the successes in the world as you contain it, you deactivate it. The thrumming of the torpedo's power source dies down, and as a result, the radioactive contamination starts to drop. But, like I said, you all have contaminated EV suits, so you need to get out of here as quickly as possible. Now, with the torpedo deactivated, it is now it is potentially now in a state where you could, if you use the pattern enhancers, you could transport yourselves to the combs quickly. Probably straight to decontamination in sickbay.
Yeah, I think we need to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, can we move away from the torpedo before we teleport, please?
Yes, indeed. The torpedo can be transported somewhere else, and you guys straight to sickbay.
Yeah, let's put the torpedo on like the shuttle, and we can move that later. Get off the ship.
Because I mean, we still have to come back to get our shuttle,
Yes.
or just fly the whole ship back to
To be
the
fair,
station.
like, if our ship is anything like Voyager, we just have like infinite shuttles. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, bringing us back to the ship. Yes. So we're back on the ship, and you are put through decontamination, which isn't awfully pleasant, but at the very least you had your EV suits on the entire time. So the horrible part of it is waiting for the symptoms of the radiation permeating your bodies to be to go away. So Dr. Sot, I won't require any rolls from you. You managed to successfully make it back on. You deactivated the thing. The torpedo was delivered transporter-wise successfully to your shuttle, and as a result, Captain Sobek ordered that the shuttle be remote piloted very carefully back to the combs. So everybody has to go through having the complete decontamination. Your EV suits are basically put into a bin somewhere. All of your uniforms have to come off. You have to strip right down and scrub yourself stupid with all these various chemicals and whatnot to make sure that you get every single possible bit of contamination off of you, which, like I said, you have EVE suits on the entire time, so most of it is just precautionary measures, but nonetheless.
The funny part about radiation, the easiest way to get it off is seriously just water.
Yeah.
Constant waters.
So unlike...
That's part of my job.
Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy that. So unlike sonic shower, which just vibrates molecules and makes the dirt go away, in this case a more traditional one is recommended by Dr. Sot, as everyone is pretty much drenched. And everyone reports back to the bridge eventually after a good old a traditional shower with their hair still wet. And just as folks are
not a problem for Phlesc, Keyspot.
no, indeed. Just as folks are sitting back down at their comm stations, that's when Garrow notices, Captain, I'm getting a tachyon surge off of the forward part of the ship. And that's when we get... Oh, heck, I missed it.
Fudge.
Oh, have they crossed the neutral zone?
Back to the bridge. Your communications officer. Captain, the Romulan vessels are hailing us. What would you like to do?
We should answer, but just to confirm, they've crossed the neutral zone.
They have.
They? No, we need to accept that and find out why they crossed the neutral zone.
So you go to
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's
other-
because of the torpedo.
Oh no, we're going to ask them. We know why. But
What was
we
that,
want
Connie?
them to tell us. Oh, sorry.
Should we go to a yellow alert?
Oh, I think we already are.
Oh. Red alert, let's escalate this.
How about the fact that there's 3 Romulan
Warbirds. Yes.
Basically,
warbirds?
battle cruisers.
Right. I don't
Yeah.
think this is red alert. I think this is brown alert.
This
Well
is,
put.
This is it's like Tavish. I have a feeling that we could have used the bird of prey as well as a decoy.
I'm just gonna go change the light bulb. You know, from red to brown.
A Romulan commander appears on the view screen, looking uncharacteristically emotional.
We demand the return of Romulan proprietary technology immediately.
Things get a little bit more complicated as sensors now report
No.
Takarian
Oh, dear
security
Lord.
vessels have also now just arrived.
Oh, they're cool.
Oh dear lord. Can
They should have had the cloaking device.
Can we add to the comms channel the Takarian security? Get them involved.
Conference
Yeah,
call.
absolutely. The Takarans are on
Conference
the
call.
horn.
This is General Akhoz of the Takarian Security Forces. You have crossed the neutral zone into Takaran territory. We demand that you turn about and leave immediately. We also demand that Dr. Jibren and all of his materials be turned over to us with immediate effect.
great.
We need to inform them that Jibren has
Requested asylum.
Diplomatic
Yes.
immunity.
diplomatic immunity, not so much. It's political asylum,
Yeah.
and we need to understand exactly what's gone on, and we need to discuss it with all of them.
I do have a question.
Of course.
Can we have Tavish remove the power core of the torpedo? Since that's pretty much the only thing Romulan
Ooh.
in technology.
I
And hand that back to the Romulans. And Hopkins can tell them, we will give you back what is yours. Not the whole torpedo, but the power system. And she will say it in Romulan. But make sure that their internal translator is purposely turned off during this time. So only the Romulans know what she's saying.
Okay. What do other people think?
Because she is a linguist.
People groovy with that?
She's trying to de-escalate this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a good idea.
All right.
Yep.
And we can... And that the Klingon ship is Federation property.
Okay. With that in mind, the Takarans come back on the horn.
Where are Dr. Jibren and our proprietary technology? We demand them back now. Any attempt at handing over anything to the Romulans will be either intercepted or blown out of space.
Now,
This is what we
I think the captain should speak on this, and it should be unless you want to escalate this situation, and more Federation ships come to.
No, I don't think we should start threatening.
No.
We should. let
I
them know
think...
that
Yeah,
we're
the
going to-
captain...
Go
So-
for it.
Alright,
I
okay.
definitely think let them know about the diplomatic asylum.
Okay. Connie, what were you going to say?
So we let the Takarians know that we know that they were taken from the Romulans, and if they don't want the Romulans to find out and escalate this between them,
We
they should back off.
we don't
Oh, the Romulans
hun-
already know.
we don't necessarily want to say that. They're quite a bit loud.
I was going to say the Romulans already know about that. Know
Yeah,
that there's.
We
Yeah,
can
'cause
say
the
that bit
Takar-
quietly.
The Takarians know that they know.
But do the Romulans know that they know that we know that they know?
Yeah.
We can say that we're keeping him as a witness. He's under political asylum pending the Federation investigation into this incident.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
right there.
That's a we know something's up. We're not telling them exactly. We're going to return what we can to each aggrieved party. But is it worth inviting them onto our ship, a representative from Takarian and Romulans, to resolve
I think
this?
the best bet will probably be onto the Klingon ship since it's kind of neutral ground.
No, it's still radiated. That is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
No, we vented the radiation.
You did
Yeah,
vent the
but it's
radiation
still-
for the most part, but there might be some places, but
Still
not
resi-
to the lethal levels. So anymore.
Yeah, it's not lethal, but it's still
Yeah.
not great. But if we
Let's give them all something to remember, a spy.
but we should definitely tell the Takarians we're doing an investigation. He's our witness and under Federation asylum.
And you're still giving a nod to the Romulans, saying that you're just giving them back their power source.
Yes.
In the torpedo, I guess, since it would just be the show, we can hand that back to the Takarians.
And then we do have to sit down and discuss it. So as a goodwill gesture, we're returning relative things. We've clearly stated why we're not handing over what was his name?
Dr. Jabren. Yep.
Jabren.
Yeah.
But only one representative from each party is coming on board, so they can't suddenly do a boarding and try and kidnap him. So he needs to be in a holding cell for his own protection.
Well, I think our best bet is for, instead of them beaming aboard, have them come via shuttle.
Okay, yeah.
Because they can transport him off if we lower the shields for transporting. So
Yeah.
shuttles would work.
Good point.
Yeah,
I
so
like
we
Okay.
maintain the integrity. We're not going to just hand it over straight away, but that's the proposal we've got in order to invite them on board to assist with our investigation and resolve this diplomatic incident of both the border crossing and the alleged.
Yeah.
Give them a little wiggle room. Alleged black ops.
Yeah.
Even if we know that to be true, let's try and get them face to face.
While this is happening, and Hopkins in an EV suit, since it's technically still irradiated, go back to the Klingon ship and try to get the power that they want on it, because it's
You
evidence.
are not
in
giving up
our-
on this Klingon
Evidence.
ship, are you?
Right.
It is
gotcha.
evidence in the investigation.
I
It is
agree with
that.
everything apart from our half Klingon security specialist leaving during what could be a bit of a tense standoff.
You have the security officer.
Okay.
You still have the chief of security.
All right. Chris, you've been quiet during all of this. What are your thoughts? Or is he not there back yet?
Just stepped away for a bit.
Stepped away.
I just came back. Sorry. What's up?
Okay. Right. Quick summary. The Romulans are here.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
The Takarians are also here.
Oh no, I saw all that. Sorry, I was only away for like a couple of seconds.
So, people are suggesting that this, that the core of the torpedo is being sent back to the Romulans. Representatives from one representative from each faction come over and have a quick talk about the situation. It's suggested that Dr. Jabren is being held here, but can be kept as a witness to what's going on. the Klingon bird of prey be apprehended by the Combs in order to help with the Federation investigation into all of this. If I can remember what everything's been said, there's going to be the implication that there's that you guys know what's going on, but you're not going to state it outright, and therefore gives the Takarians some wiggle room to get out of this without too much of a problem.
And we're not going to, so because they're coming in via shuttle, we're not going to transport stuff across. Once we've had the sit down and agreed everything, that's when they can
give
take
them the physical torpedo, but not with its power source, back to them.
And the same,
Yes.
and the same for the power source to the Romulans, and that's their incentive to come on board.
All right. So,
Yes.
Chris, do you think there's anything worth adding to all of that?
No, that sounds good. Get everyone sat around a table.
And also, Hopkins wants to go back to the Klingon
Yes,
ship.
I'm sure you do.
And also, we can state that the reason for the vessels isn't just for our own safety with the shields; it's because of the tachyon problem with the torpedo. That's the only safe way to manage it. So both parties can think they're getting the power source, even if they're not going to. It gives them the option to believe it.
Nice. I like the subterfuge involved. How very Romulan of you.
Yeah, and the main reason, this is another reason why Hopkins doesn't want to be involved, because it's subterfuge and she's very honorable.
Just gonna go hang out on the
Not
Klingon ship.
most. It's not subterfuge. It's diplomatic. It's negotiation, which is one of my values.
It's
Ah,
tactical truth telling.
It's a lie of omission, and it's giving everyone the option to negotiate. We've got plenty of room to barter. We've also got some Klingon prisoners, so they're up for negotiation because we've got all we can out of them. The Takarians can maybe have those instead of the power source. This is the kind of thing. We don't want to dictate. We want to invite. What is it? Invitation to treat. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Everybody good with all of that?
Yep.
Tavish will probably be disconnecting things while the talks are going on because Tavish is diplomatic. Skills
are
are.
non-existent.
Do you want me to hit you with a hyperspanner? Which is not, good in this situation. But yeah, I totally agree with everything which has just been said.
That's another reason why I'm trying to get Hopkins out of this thing, is because her form of diplomacy is
Do you want to be
be
stabbed?
quiet. Be quiet, or you're gonna get very wrong end of this bat lift.
And
As the friend understands.
Phlesc wants to go into negotiation with obviously his captain, but also with the excellent Davo skills. Also Gurkha coming in with.
Okay.
Obviously, Garo, being the security officer, should be there as chief of security with some of his security team.
I'm going to ask for Lieutenant Gurkha. Connie, if you could give me an insight and command check for me, please.
Insight.
With with your interstellar law focus, please.
I'm just rolling very quickly for her.
Okie dokie.
we
Nice. Okay. So that's me using Lieutenant Gurkha's very Tellarite's incisive scrutiny. So both Phlesc and the captain can use Neshlel's natural propensity for building arguments and pulling them apart. You can also take a counselor in as well, who, if we recall, was made not long ago and is a telepath betazoid. So
It has focuses on diplomacy.
I forgot about the counselor.
Yep, there she is, right there. She was created last session, I think. With the
And
sole
she
focus.
also has diplomacy.
Yes, she does. Diplomacy, empathy, psychology, so she will be valuable in this as well. Alright, so it takes a good bit of finagling, but every party does see the need to, if they want to get what they want, then they do need to sit down and treat at the table. Therefore, you do get everybody over. With Neshlel's incisive scrutiny, her Tellarite propensity for argumentativism, you are able to use everything you've stated to pretty much give everybody something to go home with, and a reason not to make this go any further than it needs to. Everybody here is now essentially saying, you know, we're entering almost into an agreement of not exactly mutually assured destruction, but if everyone's got something on everybody else. And really it's you guys who have got something on everybody, and we can just sit in the middle and forget this whole thing happened, or we can get other people involved, kind of thing. And we don't want to get other people involved because this is embarrassing for everybody, and it'll make a whole mess, and it's not worth the effort. The Romulans get the power source, the Takarians get to go with the rest of the torpedo. The Takarians make a huge song and dance about taking Jabren with them, but because he has signed official documents, as it were, to official declaration for political asylum, they can't demand him back because they would have to then take him by force, which would then provoke hostility from the Combs and thereby Starfleet and the Federation, and this whole situation then comes out and it spirals from there. So you're able to persuade them that discretion in this case is the better part of valor.
And the whole torpedo thing was them trying to get into the Federation in the first place. So, they're going to honour the laws of the Federation as a demonstration to say.
And go back quietly. They will agree to take the Klingon captain and first officer as part of their own investigations. They also allow you to tow the remaining bird of prey back into Federation territory because there needs to be some proof that you take back with you that, yeah, these guys turned up, and here's proof because here's the bird of prey with their house insignia still on it, and several irradiated bodies. So you have that to tow home with proof. The Romulans, of course, are their usual selves, trying not to show that they're out of control in any way, but it becomes very obvious from the word go that they know they've taken a big risk in crossing the neutral zone, and their stance is mainly based upon the Takarians did this and we're here to get what's ours back. But as soon as you give them what they want, they agree to the terms of, let's not escalate this any further than it needs to go for anybody. So the Romulans are quite happy to disappear back over their side of the neutral zone and not take this any further. What the future repercussions will be between the Takarians and the Romulans remains to be seen. And when your reports are filed, Admiral Hebert agrees that this kind of thing can now be kept quietly in the background as a bit of a holdover. If you ever need, if the Federation or Starfleet ever needs leeway or an advantage they can have with any future dealings with the Takarians, this is now ammunition that can be used for later on. So the Takarians' entry into the Federation will probably take a good deal longer than the Takarians are probably comfortable with, but that's probably now going to be deliberate as a means of sweating them out a little bit from here on inwards. And if they're willing to engage in this kind of murder for technological gain, then they're definitely somebody whose membership of the Federation needs to be debated quite strongly.
Yeah.
So, overall,
you get to keep the Klingon
you get to
ship
keep
as
the bird of prey. The answer is a resounding no, because it is impounded as evidence. However, when you get the debrief from Admiral Hebert, General... Ooh, can I remember his name? No, I can't. I thought it was Flag, but that's his first officer. Narendra Station is General Kargan. General Kargan is very happy with the fact that you've exposed the House of Duras once again, and have dealt a blow to them, and have exposed further dealings with the Romulans, and of course House of Duras and House Gowron, whom General Kargan is very solidly aligned with, are very happy that they've got all this extra ammunition for the ongoing dishonor of House Duras. So General Kargan at least gives Trasa the nod that he will see if there's something that can't be done as acknowledgement in the way of maybe thanks from Chancellor Gowron that you might get in the future. But what that might be, we'll have to wait until next time, because I am afraid we are out of time. Nevertheless, that was spectacularly good diplomatic maneuverings, I have to say, there at the end. Where, yeah, you've managed to pretty much bring out the best outcome there could possibly be. And in such a way that everybody got to pretty much keep their dignity, more or less. But, like I said, there's now political ammunition with the Takarians. There's also semi-political ammunition against the Romulans, too, because you now have sensor readouts and therefore proof that that they crossed the neutral zone. Technically into Takaran space, but there is a bit of political ammunition that can be used against the Romulans there too. So you have come out with probably the best possible result that you could have there. So who's to know what kind of rewards you might get in the future as a result? Certainly we will factor that in when I award acclaim later on for you guys, which will probably go out tomorrow. But in the meantime, that is the end of this episode. Congratulations, guys. That was very well done.
Woo!
I will say
No one
thank you
died.
to... Sorry, go on.
No one died. Woo.
No one died. You did very well. The ship got damaged, but not strongly disabled, so the ship is still in more or less one piece. Just needs a bit of TLC. Thank you for watching Suitable Substrate.
Was there a
Go on. Was there a...
certain total pod on the bird of prey that I could have confiscated before?
You'll get something, don't worry. Just not right now. I'll save it as a surprise.
But I just
Trust-
need to correct it.
Trust
the
me.
excellent efforts of Phlesc and Tavish, we fixed that breach.
You did.
So
You fixed a breach, that will be noted, but there's still the damage to the shield emitters that needs to be repaired
that's true.
at
But luckily that shouldn't be
Ranger
that
Station.
hard too.
I would like to point out that Tavish did some fucking... Oh,
Yeah, well, there's our PG-12 rating, so that's the one we're allowed.
did some I've been so good.
You have, and it slipped up right at the end. Never mind. We know your
gone-
threshold now. It's 3
gone.
hours 1 minute.
I was going to say, it's gone 4 o'clock, he's past the watershed.
Go on, Dave.
Tavish did some excellent work.
She did. Everyone did.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody who tuned in for the stream. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed curating it, and I hope the guys playing enjoyed it as much as it appeared they did.
Mm-hmm.
Before we sign off, Chris, is there anything on your channel you would like to plug?
I can't remember what, like the last time I did plug it. I just released a 68-minute retrospective on Final Fantasy IX. Feel free to have a look at that if you have the time. There's another video is going to be coming out in like a week or so, but nothing hot off the press quite yet.
I'm bringing up the channel now so that everybody can see what we're talking about. There it is. That's Chris's channel. Be sure to give it a look. See what he's
Thank
up
you.
to. No problem. Anybody else got anything else they would like to plug before we sign off? Nope. In that case, because there's been such a big gap between the last session and this session, we are not going to have the usual in-between episode break. We're going to go straight into it, as long as everybody... I believe Chris, our security officer, is not available next Sunday, but how about everybody else? Are we all still available for next week?
I believe
Yes.
so.
Excellent. So we should have further adventures with the Combs crew next week at the same time. So thank you everybody who tuned in to the stream. I ask you all to live long and prosper, and also to do like the Vulcans do. And no, I don't mean unsuccessfully attempt to mind meld with reptilian aliens. I mean to practice infinite diversity in infinite combinations, to look after yourselves, be kind to everyone else, and we will see you next time. Hailing frequencies are now closed.